already looking like a good toss to win.
Yes. Yes. I think perhaps England have been watching the World Cup, although having said that, recent games in the World Cup have tended not to be run-fests, but indeed to be low-scoring, very tense and taut affairs. We have 3 slits in the gully, as Brooks comes in around the wicket now to Brown, and taken on the pad. Brooks could see that was going down leg side, and although there was a shout from behind the wicket, the bowler not joining in. Score remaining 19 for none, of which Brown has 13 and Cook 4.
Yeah, the flow of boundaries stemmed as Brooks just switched his line of attack there from over the wicket to round it. Brooks
comes in to complete the over. Bowls to Brown. Brown plays it defensively to mid-on. Azhar Ali. End of the second over. Quite an eventful one. And Essex winning the toss and batting with Brown on 13, Cook 4. The other 2 runs explained by a no ball. And 19 for none in 2.
Yeah, we mentioned Charles Clarke and the minute silence. The Somerset flag is at half-mast today as well. Another tribute to Charles Clarke, who's going to be very much missed at Taunton. Very popular chairman and very good company in the commentary box as well. We were always delighted to have him with us. Insightful and humorous company.
Exactly, yes, very much had a sense of humour. Former, I think, chairman of the ECB, is that right? Or no, as here is the first ball of a new Gregory over, played to mid-on. There's no run, 19 for no wicket. What was his role, Stephen, in the hierarchy?
Well, he was on the Somerset committee for some years and chairman for the last 2.
Yeah, but did he not have a role at the ECB?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, perhaps it's the ICC.
Giles Clarke.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes. I'm getting my Clarks in the mud there. Sorry for that. Here is Gregory in, around the wicket. Bowls to Cook. Cook has deflected it into the offside, fielded in the covers, and there is no run. It's 19 for no wicket. Let me give you the sides again, because the new listeners all the time. Essex, who've chosen to bat, are Nick Brown, Alistair Cook, Tom Wesley, Dan Lawrence, Ravi Bopara, Ryan Tenderscarter, Adam Wheater, Simon Harmer, Peter Siddle, Jamie Porter and Aaron Beard. And Somerset, Tom Abel, Azhar Ali, James Hildreth, Tom Banton, George Bartlett, Steve Davis, Jamie Overton, Tim Groeneveld, Jack Leach and Jack Brooks. And Gregory bowls, and this ball is punched down to mid-on without timing by Cook. Score remaining at 19 for no wicket. You can email us at essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk, or for Somerset interests.
Yes, @Lamb165 is my Twitter handle.
Nice and brief, @Lamb165.
Do get in touch on that. It's nice to see a red ball rather than a pink one. When I was last here
yes,
last season.
Right, yeah. Remember the game well. As here is Gregory in, bowls to Cook. And that ball goes by outside off stump. And indeed, it does look, thankfully, as though that experiment from the ECB has been shelved, because I don't think it proved very much, other than the fact we're much better with a red ball.
Indeed. And particularly the game here showed that.
It did,
really didn't do anything at all, that pink ball.
Admittedly, when Essex played Middlesex in the corresponding fixture in 2017, Simon Harmer took 14 wickets, and I suppose the ball did do quite a lot then, but this one last year didn't. This is down leg side from Gregory, a 1 day wide, but this is a 4-day game, and it's 19 for no wicket in the third.
Yes, Alistair Cook looked a little bit disgruntled not to have got a bit of bat on that. Would have been another boundary down to fine leg if he had.
Yes, you're quite right, because it's always said of Cook he's only really got 3 shots, but that was one of them, and he'd normally pick up 4 runs, as indeed he did in the first over from Gregory, with a ball that strayed down leg side, so he will feel he missed out as Gregory comes around the wicket, Hayes close end. Bowls, Cook studied in defence, plays the ball back down the track to mid-off, no run, end of the third over, 19 for no wicket, a maiden.
Yes, well bowled Lewis Gregory, and he will be hoping to continue taking wickets at a similar rate to that he's been doing so far this season. Really outstanding performer for Somerset this year. Got over the back trouble he had a couple of seasons ago. Speaking to him earlier in the season, he was saying he feels as good physically as he did when he was 17 or 18.
Here is Brooks in, bowls, and Brown without timing, punches off the back foot down to Tom Abel, the Somerset skipper. 19 for no wicket, and what an inspired appointment Tom Abel has been, Stephen, because I think he was, and probably still is for that matter, the youngest captain on the circuit when appointed. For a while he struggled with the bat, possibly because of the extra responsibility, but he's fought his way through it, and Somerset are having a great time.
Yeah, no, he's an excellent captain.
Here is Brooks in, bowls, and that ball is played to mid-on. There's no run, it's 19 for no wicket, and for me, what speaks volumes for him, it's difficult when you're so young and you've got a lot of people who've got far more seniority there. You know, there's many a young man that's struggled to cope with that, but he hasn't.
Indeed, and you mentioned the poor batting form that he started with. He's into his third season as captain now. In fact, no one could find any batting form at the start of the 2017 season.
Remember it well, as here is Brooks in, bowls a leave here from Brown, and that was the year Essex went on to win the title, but they were so fortunate in the first 3 games to have lost none of them when they were in losing positions in all of them, and one of them was at Taunton against Somerset, and Somerset had what looked like a fairly crucial first innings lead, but rather committed Harry Carey against Neil Wagner, just banging the ball in short, and I think there were 5 catches to mid-wicket on the third or second afternoon, can't remember which. Here is Brooks in and bowls, and that's another leave outside off stump, 19 for none, and what a contrast, Stephen. We had everything happening for 2 overs, and we've now gone about 9 balls without a further run.
Yes, Gregory and Brooks getting into the groove now, but yeah, that first summer of captaincy for Tom Abel, he left himself out mid-season because of his lack of batting form, came back, managed to rediscover the form.
Brooks is in and bowls, and this ball is played to square leg. There's no run, and David Jackman, our scorer, in combination with Julius Jackson, tells me that it's 13 deliveries now without a run.
Yeah, and then last season, Tom Abel contributing with the ball as well as the bat, 900 runs,
yeah,
and regularly picking up wickets as well with his medium pace, and he's a brilliant fielder.
Well, yes. Here is Brooks in, bowls a leave outside off stump from Brown. The 4th over ends the second consecutive maiden, but in the first 2 overs, 7 and 12 respectively, Essex raced away to 19 for no wicket. Brown, who got 3 consecutive boundaries, has 13. Cook, also with a boundary, has 4. And it is so useful when one of your frontline batsmen can take useful wickets, as well as Essex have always found with Ravi Bopara.
Yes, moved up to open the innings in the last couple of games, Tom Abel. Initially because Azhar Ali had a throat infection, and then Marcus Trescothick, who's out of form, has gone into the seconds to see if he can rediscover it.
In from the Hayes close end, Lewis Gregory, and this comes off the very bottom edge of Nick Brown's bat into the pads and rebounds harmlessly into the offside, but had he not just got the bottom of the bat to that, there would have been a skyscraper of an appeal. Cook, I should say, was back on his stumps and would be on his way back, I'm pretty sure. The umpires, by the way, are David Lloyd and Nick Cook, and that looked a bit of a plum there had there not been a bottom edge, as Gregory's in around the wicket, bowls to Cook, plays it to mid-off, there's no run. 19 for no wicket in 4.2, Essex having won the toss.
Yes, he's got into miserly mode now, Lewis Gregory. It's a muggy morning here at Chelmsford. The sun is trying to come through, but there is some wispy cloud cover pretty well everywhere.
Yeah, no sign of the sun, as here comes Gregory. Bowls to Cook, who hasn't looked particularly happy out there. It has to be said, Brown has made the more confident start, and Cook just stabs this one a yard or 2 into the offside. First ball that Cook received was down leg side, and he just helped it on its way for 4. Since then, he's played and missed at one in particular. He just got that bottom edge earlier in the over, and a lot of his other strokes have been sort of last minute, rather jerky defensive shots. Gregory is on his way again. Somerset good bowling rate here, considering it's the new ball. bowls, and this ball is played away to the gully, and Azarani makes a good stop, just leaning to his left, and no run.
Yeah, the slip cordon is James Hildreth at first, Jamie Overton at second, and Jack Leach is at third. Steve Davies, of course, behind the stumps for Somerset.
As Gregory reaches the top of his run at the Hayes close end, and comes around the wicket post. Cook, this time with a little bit more assurance, plays the ball steadily down to mid-off, just a defensive push. 19 for no wicket, remains the score as it has been now for some time.
Yes, pretty clear inference when we saw the coin go up earlier that Somerset would have batted if it had fallen right for them, but it did not. So Ryan Tenders-Carter taking the decision to bat first.
Got a couple of emails I'll come to in a moment, to essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk. Gregory around the wicket to Cook, defensively down to mid-off, and a third consecutive maiden. 19 for no wicket, 13 Brown and 4 Cook.
Yeah, this is better from Somerset. 3 consecutive boundaries in Jack Brooks' first over, becoming a distant memory. Pitch conference between the 2 batsmen. Jack Brooks with his headband will continue.
Just heard from Chris Grant, who says, good morning gentlemen, here are the records for Essex v Somerset in first class cricket. Strangest fact is that Somerset have never reached 500 in an innings against Essex, and are the only county who have failed to do so. Here is Brooks in, River End, bowls. This is the 6th over of the innings. Brown plays it back down the pitch to the bowler. He says this is especially unusual given that for many years Leighton and Taunton were considered the best batting tracks in the country. Enjoy the match. Cheers, Chris. Thank you, Chris. First class records, Essex v Somerset, played 144. Essex have won 57, Somerset have won 36, 50 have been drawn, 1 has been tied. And the next ball is played back down the pitch. Brown returning the ball to Brooks. It's 19 for no wicket.
Yes, I have yet to see Somerset win here. I didn't do the game in 2017 when it was probably just as well, really.
Yes.
When Somerset were well beaten. That was the year Essex won the entire tournament.
Yes,
the draw last year.
Cheney Porter was on fire for that game. I remember he got, I think, Triscothick in both innings. As Brooks is in bowls, and this goes through outside off stump. Just a few more examples of the records of the side. Essex's highest innings total, 692 at Taunton in 1895. That's going back a bit. I can almost remember it. Somerset, their highest total, 488 at Clacton. I don't think we'd have guessed that. That was in 1949. Lowest totals, Essex 69 at Ilford in 1924. Somerset 48 at Bath at the Wreck in 1951, and same score, Chalkwell Park, Westcliff on Sea, as another ball played out into the offside, no run, 19 for no wicket. There may not be another run till lunch, the way things are going after such a bright start, but the Somerset bowlers have tightened right up, yeah, certainly some great stats there from Chris. Thank you very much indeed. 19 for no wicket. We're in the 6th over. Brooks with 3 slits in a gully. Comes in, bowls, and this ball goes through outside off stump. There's no run, and there's a backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, long leg. And I think, Stephen, you and I could go out there and set the same field.
I think we could at this stage of proceedings. The sun is just beginning to win the battle against the cloud. You can just about detect the shadows cast by the players now.
Yes, indeed. I've just got a second email from Duncan Hamilton. It says, morning people, is there any live stream today? Great commentary as always. Thank you very much, Duncan. Ball played down to mid-off. The point would be, if anyone could possibly send me the details of those who have got the live stream. We're all plugged in correctly. It's not actually down to the website, it's the club, and I know they had a problem in the previous game, but there is an alternative way, which I don't know. You have to sort of tap in something fairly complicated. If anyone happens to know, do email us on that front. But it is actually working, believe it or not, by this alternative means. It's 19 for no wicket after 6 overs.
Yeah, and Lewis Gregory is going to continue.
Here he comes. Same 3 slips of gully. Bowls to Cook. Cook works it into the onside, but straight to mid-on. There'll be no run there, and still it's 19 for no wicket. And just remind me of your email again.
At Lamb165.
Thank you. At Lamb165 shows you what an appalling memory I've got, that I needed you to repeat it. I wasn't sure if it was at Stephen Lamb or just Lamb. At Lamb165.
To console you, Paul, I've totally forgotten the name of the end from which Lewis Gregory is bowling from.
It's the Hayes close end.
That's it.
And here is Lewis Gregory in bowls, and there will be a single here, the first for 5 overs, as this goes down to long leg and Jack Brooks, and that takes the score to 20 for no wicket, and Cook moves up to 5. Yes, I always say, after the success that Jamie Porter has enjoyed from the Hayes close end, that if he were to play for Essex for another 8 to 10 years, it could be renamed the Jamie Porter end.
That would be nice.
He would love it, not because he's a big-headed so-and-so, but he puts his heart and soul into everything he does, and he really does love bowling from that end. As here is Gregory in bowls, a lovely shot from Brown, 4 runs from the moment it left the bat, sublime extra cover drive, 24 for no wicket, and Brown with his 4th boundary moves along to 17.
Looks like the sort of wicket on which you can be very confident of playing your strokes. Early stages of this match, but I think the Essex players looking on will be pretty encouraged by the start they've seen.
Yes, certainly the ball's coming onto the bat at this stage. It remains to be seen whether when the ball gets softer that will still be true, as here is the next delivery from Gregory. Bowls to Brown, a little bit edgy here, nicely stopped in the gully by Azhar Ali, diving to his left. Went along the ground, 24 for no wicket, 7th over, Essex having won the toss and are batting. Emails at Lamb165 or essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk.
It's a pretty good crowd building up here.
Yeah, you hardly ever see a bad one actually at Chelmsford. Certainly not on the first day. Gregory in bowls, and Brown drives without timing this time. He hit it with considerable power, but there was no timing there, and it's easily fielded at mid-off, and score remaining at 24 for no wicket. Nick Hines has come to us from Hania in Crete. Hi guys, I'm watching on essexcricket.org. Duncan, this is for you. I'm going to repeat it slowly. Grab a piece of paper and pen so you can write this down. Thanks Nick for emailing this information, as here is Gregory in bowls and Cook plays to mid-on, 24 for no wicket, 7th over ends, and the address is Essex with a capital E cricket.org/match zone /match centre/live stream . So that's essexcricket.org/match zone /match centre. He's left a gap between match and centre. Live stream, he's left a gap between live and stream . It's been inconsistent so far, but is working okay now. He says, I'm also on WhatsApp and Messenger. Nick, thank you very much.
Talking about the tributes to the late Somerset chairman Charles Clarke, I've got a tweet from Michelle Brooks. Charles will be sadly missed and never forgotten, a true gentleman full of pride, passion and support for Somerset. An absolute honour and pleasure to have known him.
Brooks is in bowls, 4 runs, as Cook leans on this and back cuts it to the boundary. That came out of the middle of the bat. It was too short, gave him width as well. 28 for no wicket. Cook has 9. Yes, indeed. In the one-day game Essex played, when it was a fairly rainy sort of day and a 2 o'clock start, this was April the 26th, Charles came up to the box and a very, very nice man indeed, and gave us, I think, half an hour or so. So very, very sad that he has passed away. A minute's silence impeccably observed before the start of play, and Somerset players wearing black armbands in respect, as here, not out of the middle of the bat, but Cook has turned it past square leg for a single, and that takes the score to 29 for no wicket, and Cook has 10 ended this over. I'm just looking to see if David Brett's around, but he seems not to be, but when he is, we'll put him into bat. So 29 for no wicket, Brown 17, Cook 10, with a healthy proportion of the runs coming in boundaries. And with Cook getting a single, it's Brown who will be facing the next delivery. Got another email from Chris Grant. The easiest way to view the online stream is to go to the Essex website homepage and then select the match zone option. Please note, Duncan, as here the next ball is played back past the bowler to mid-on, as Ali, there's no run, 29 for no wicket. So, Duncan, easiest way to view on the live stream, go to the Essex website homepage, select the match zone option, and just to complete these emails, Lorna Piper, thank you very much. Live stream is working here, match zone 2019.
That's good news.
Yep. So it means that you can get it, and hopefully, Duncan, you now are finding your feet on that score. As here is Brooks in, bowls to Brown. Oh, what a good delivery. That just passes the outside edge. Extra little bit of bounce there, and still no sign of David Brett truanting yet again. So we'll pass the commentary over to Stephen Lamb. In fact, it's not the end of the over. I thought they were moving away. So I expect David to emerge through the door at any moment. But 29 for no wicket is the score in the 8th over. Only 2 slips in the gully now. Brooks bowls, slower ball, played down to mid-on as at Ali. No run, still not the end of the over. And in fact, 1 ball a bit left. 29 for none.
Jack Leach is doing some loosening up. I don't know whether that's because he's going to be brought on early or whether just because he wants to be loose.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise, you know. Simon Harmer came on, I think, about the 6th over in the previous game here, and to great effect as Brooks is in bowls, nicely driven, and that's got through. Fielder may just have got a fingertip to it. It's gone out of my sight, masked by the stand in front of us, but it is 4 runs, and that means at the end of that over, Brown, with 5 boundaries and a single, has moved along to 21. And Essex in 8 overs, choosing to bat with Cook on 10. They are 33 for no wicket, and a pretty good start this for the home county.
Yeah, they actually had 2 spinners in their original squad of 14. Somerset, Don Bess included, as well as Jack Leach, but Bess not making the final cut.
Has he come back to Somerset now?
Back from Yorkshire,
yep.
Where he was on loan for a month.
He didn't look out playing.
And Stephen Lamb will take up commentary.
Lewis Gregory continuing from the Hayes close end, and he's going to be bowling to Sir Alistair Cook, who gets that one off the outside edge, and there's a good leaping stop by Azhar Ali at gully. First bounce. Just to say, we've had an email from Istanbul. Steve says, thanks for good insightful radio work and sympathy towards Somerset for loss of chairman Charles Clarke. Sad news. Nice start for Essex on this big game. This, as many have said, is almost a make or break game from an Essex point of view. Here is Gregory round the wicket to Cook, who gets his bat firmly out of the way.
A win here for Essex would truly lead to a big push for the championship. So good that Peter Siddle is back. Brackets with the loss of Sam Cook, who was injured in the previous game, and a settled batting lineup over the last few games. P.S. Any news on how Dick Davis did on the stage My Fair Lady? I heard he was arrested last night, but that's yet to be confirmed. And he said, will he be on air during the game? Yes, I think he is later on.
Here is Gregory into Cook, who defends into the gully. Azhar Ali fields, no run. So will we be hearing some singing from Dick, from some arias from My Fair Lady on the street where you live, perhaps?
Well, earplugs at the ready, just in case. I half expect him to put in an appearance today for impersonating Colonel Pickering, who's one of the characters in My Fair Lady. But joking apart, for such a, not so much an old man, but an ancient man to be still appearing on the stage is a terrific effort.
Tremendous. Look forward to hearing more about that.
Yes.
Here's Gregory in the meantime, into bowl to Cook, who pushes that one up to mid-on.
No ball.
Another one. It's very unlike Lewis Gregory. Tim Greneveld is the fielder. Greneveld, who's come into the Somerset side in place of Craig Overton, who suffered that groin injury in the previous game at Canterbury. That's the one change that Somerset have made from that 10-wicket win that they achieved inside 4 sessions at Canterbury.
Yes.
Even though it took until the last day, because 2 days were completely washed out.
It was a wonderful win in the circs.
Here is Gregory again. Cook drives, it's off the outside edge, but it's going to go down to third man for 4. That's, I don't think Gregory would be too discouraged by that, actually.
No, we've seen 2. One at the end of the previous over went past the outside edge. I think it was Brown on strike at the time. This one from Cook. And very often here, a good start for a batting side can be misleading. Sometimes the ball starts doing things, you know, 3/4 of an hour in to an hour sort of thing. Yeah, just going back to the Kent performance. Credit to Kent for then coming back in the next game and demolishing Nottinghamshire, who would look in a sad way, actually, Notts, don't they? And for me, it's time they started producing some homegrown products, because I think it does make a difference. Both the sides here, plenty of products of their academies.
Here's one of them, Lewis Gregory, and Cook defends that back to him. Yes, one of Somerset's 5 wins so far, 5 wins and a draw they've had, unbeaten in the championship so far, but their first away win was at Trent Bridge, and it was by an innings. Yeah.
I'm going to make way now for David Brett. 1 ball left of this over, and talk to you later, Stephen. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. So Gregory will complete the over round the wicket to Cook, who drives, will get a single for it, as there's no great power behind the stroke. Lewis Gregory takes his cap, and the over is at an end. 8 gone now. So that's Gregory's 4th. 0 for 18 his figures. Jack Brooks has 0 for 21 from his 4. In fact, 12 of those were off consecutive deliveries in his first over, scored by Nick Brown. Brooks starts his 5th with a full-length delivery on Midland leg, which is just pushed gently out to mid-wicket. George Bartlett is on station there. Bartlett, who's scored 2 centuries in this format in the season so far. Returned to Brooks by way of Leach. Brooks is in again, that's outside the off stump. Played directly to Jack Leach, who's fielding at mid-off. I wonder how soon we will see Jack Leach introduced into the attack. Morning, Dave.
Morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. You?
Yeah, a bit muggy out there.
Yes. Yes, it's rather a heavy atmosphere. As Brooks runs away from us, bowls to Cook, who gets this one firmly off his pads, backward of square on the leg side. Tim Greneveld is running round from long leg to do the fielding, so they have ample time to take 2. Cook goes on to 15, 40 without loss. Essex having won the toss. Good start for the hosts.
Runs coming at a fair old lick. It's almost like the Cricket World Cup, isn't it?
3rd place, Essex, this morning in the table. Somerset, of course, the leaders. So a match of considerable importance.
Absolutely, yeah. Essex need to win this to close that gap.
Brooks is away, bowling to the left-handed Cook, who lets that one go through outside his off stump. Yes, a scorecard has arrived. That's good to see.
Better never than late, I suppose.
Yes, 1 or 2 adjustments needing to be made to it. It was printed before the toss, so it's got Craig Overton's name on it, which is not right. Overton is out injured. Tim Greneveld playing in his place, as Brooks is in. This is driven firmly back to him. There's a half stop by the bowler, and Jack Leach runs around to complete the stop. Yes, there's a gap of 23 points between Somerset and Hampshire, first placed and second placed, and a gap of 30 points between Somerset and Essex. Brooks is in, and that's driven back to him, and won't be a run for that. So yes, Somerset played 6, won 5, drawn 1. Essex played 6, won 3, lost 1, drawn 2. End of the over, 42 without loss.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season for your boys.
Yeah, tremendous. Yeah, best I can recall in recent years. They started pretty well last year on their first 2 games, but even better this. And to open up a gap of that kind at this stage of the season is very promising, but we're not halfway yet.
No, previous seasons would have been comfortably halfway through the county championship fixture schedule, but obviously the way it's working this year feels a bit bitty though, doesn't it? Because lots of teams playing at different times, 1 or 2 matches going on separately. I know the Cricket World Cup's caused a few issues with the fixture list.
Here is a new over from Lewis Gregory. First ball is outside the off stump and left alone. It's taken by Stephen Davies, who immediately embarks on an animated chat with James Hildreth. His first slip.
I've been chatting quite a bit this morning. Pretty much constantly between each delivery, actually. I presume it's not about cricket. Surely not enough to speak about.
It quite often isn't.
Yeah.
Here's Gregory, and this is once again left alone by Nick Brown.
Well, once this cloud burns off, it's going to be an absolutely scorching day, because you can feel the heat out there already. And we've got a little bit of cloud cover and a bit of a breeze once you get out there, but as soon as that cloud's burnt off, it's going to get hot.
Yes, it's a bit muggy as well. Gregory turns. In fact, he's tossed the ball to Tim Grunewald to have a look at it, wondering whether it's slightly out of shape. Grunewald returns it to him, and he runs in towards us. Oh, there's a good delivery. I think Brown played at that. It was lifting. It was just outside his off stump. And there is a moral victory as Nick Brown goes down to prod 1 or 2 suspicious parts of the pitch.
Yeah, it's certainly lifted off the length as well. It's a better delivery because they've been feeding his cover drive far too much in these opening 10 overs. Must have hit about 4 or 5 cover drives to the boundary so far this morning, Nick Brown.
Gregory turns and is on his way. Bowled Brown, who does leave this time. Davies takes, passing the ball to Jamie Overton.
Sorry, go on.
The second slip.
Yeah, no, I would say thankfully, I think the weather's set fair for this match. We've had so much rain about recently. It's nice to have a game that looks like it's going to be uninterrupted.
Yes, looks pretty good, doesn't it? The only possibility of rain that I saw when I last looked is on Tuesday morning, but that's some way ahead, and that might not materialise. Let's hope not, as Gregory runs in, and that's played out to square leg by Brown. There will be a run in it for him, as it's eventually fielded by Tom Banton. Banton, who's having quite a season. He's played a big part in Somerset's Royal London Cup win. 2 centuries in that competition. Has come into the championship side for the last couple of games and contributed with the bat. Great future for the 20-year-old. And Gregory is ready, this time bowling to Cook, who gets up on his toes and plays that pretty comfortably in the end. Out on the offside, George Bartlett, another Somerset youngster, aged 21, is the fielder. End of the over. Cook is on 17, Brown is on 22, and Essex have proceeded with a fair degree of serenity after winning the toss to 43 without loss.
Yeah, Somerset have also just taken out that third slip as well, so maybe gone on a tiny bit of the defensive, but it also suggests the ball's not doing huge amounts either in the air or off the pitch.
And in fact, we have been talking about Jack Leach, whether he would be introduced to the attack early on. He's going to be, after just 11 overs.
Has he got a chance to get in the Ashes squad?
A chance?
Yeah.
Yes, he must be very much in the selectors' minds.
So I presume they'll stick with Moeen as the main bowler, and then maybe Rashid as backup.
It's probably between Leach and Rashid, I would guess.
Has he been bowling well this season?
He has.
Yeah.
Very much so. He had a birthday just a couple of days ago, I believe. 28 from memory.
Plenty of time left.
Absolutely, especially for a spinner.
Yeah.
Got until you're 45.
Exactly.
So he's going to be bowling over the wicket to start. He's got a slip in and a short leg. And he's going to be bowling to Nick Brown. So this is his first ball of the match coming up, which is down the leg side, and Brown helps it on its way, but James Hildreth is on 45 degrees behind square on the leg side, and the ball went straight to him, so no run. Got a man out deep at mid-wicket. Then an orthodox mid-wicket, and mid-on set slightly back as Leach goes in, and that's defended to short leg where Tom Banton is the fielder, having donned his helmet and shin pads. Cap just tucked into the back of his trousers as he crouches there. This is driven. There's going to be runs here, at least a couple. I think it may be pulled in just inside the boundary, although I've lost sight of it. Azhar Ali was the man in pursuit, and he has pulled it up inside the rope. So they take two. Not quite timed by Brown in the way that some of his offside strokes have been this morning. He's looked in good touch. Leach into him again, and he's forward, defends to Abel at mid-wicket.
There'll be a slight worry that the runs are becoming so freely this morning. Haven't quite been able to turn the taps off.
As Leach just pauses for a moment before trotting in, bowls, and this is played firmly out to deep mid-wicket. There'll be a comfortable single in it for Brown. Takes the total on to 45 without loss. Yeah, we had a flurry of runs in the first 2 overs, then a couple of maidens, and since then there's been a pretty steady flow. Essex making a good start here at Chelmsford. There's Leach goes in again. This is pushed defensively forward by Brown, or Cook I should say, to complete the over. Cook's on 17, Brown is 25, and Essex having won the toss. 46 without loss.
I don't know if you heard it, there was an almighty bang about 10 minutes ago, just down London Road, so just by the ground. Now the emergency services sirens are blaring out. I hope nothing too serious.
So it's going to be a double change in the Somerset attack. Jack Leach having come on
His eyesight stopped.
for the other Jack, Brooks.
His eyesight stopped.
Lewis Gregory, as you probably just heard, has made way for an Overton twin.
Essex.cricket at bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us. We've got the emails up and running today. Always welcome to hear from you. Any subject will do.
So, 6'5" of Jamie Overton running in towards us from the Hayes close end. The first ball of his spell is clipped straight to Banton at just in front of square leg. No run.
Yeah, the Overtons seem to have fallen off the radar a little bit from an England perspective.
Yes, but Craig has been having a very good season, would almost certainly be playing in this game, bar the injury he suffered at Canterbury. Jamie, who spent a spell on loan at Northants, is on his way into bowl to Brown, who leaves that alone, coming back and playing a significant part in the 10-wicket win at Canterbury a fortnight ago. They are animated, the slips and the keeper, aren't they? Lots of conversation out there.
Must have had a good night last night.
Lewis Gregory is in the cordon, having come out of the attack. He is to the left of James Hildreth, first slip. Gregory at second. Azarali's in the gully, with Overton steaming in, and this is off the outside edge, down to third man for 4. He's looking to play that square of the wicket, Nick Brown, but it's gone pretty fine down to third man, and hoisted the half century for Essex, which is warmly applauded by this good crowd here at the County Ground in Chelmsford. But another shot that didn't quite go where the batsman intended. It's Essex's highest opening partnership of the season.
Well, 55 is.
55 is, beg its pardon. So there you are, just 5 short. As Overton comes in. Balls. Oh, and that has taken out Nick Brown's off stump and is Somerset's first breakthrough. The stump is lying flat. Jamie Overton is exultant, as are his teammates. That is a comprehensive way to take the first wicket of the innings. Nick Brown bowled by Jamie Overton for 29. That 55 is going to remain the Essex first wicket record, because Essex are now 50 for 1.
Put the muckers on that, didn't we? Yeah. Always look a little bit foolish as a batsman when you leave the ball alone and your off stump goes cartwheeling out of the ground, but maybe the ball nipped back a little bit. He's actually bowling well in that over, was Overton. Certainly it looked as if he was getting his pace up as well. Maybe there was a bit of in-dip with that delivery. And
well, the fact that the stump was plucked out and went some distance is indicative of the pace of the delivery. So important breakthrough for Somerset after Essex had made a good start. One of the openers is back in the hutch. Alistair Cook still there on 17. And again, you'll have picked up on the public address who is joining Alistair Cook.
Yeah, it's a shame for Nick Brown. He's got another start, just hasn't quite gone on. Tom Wesley, another man, needs a few runs this season, but very easy on the eye watching Tom Wesley bat. A man who's not afraid to attack either, so hopefully we'll continue this entertaining morning's cricket, and it has been really entertaining.
And a right-hander joining a left-hander now, as Tom Wesley takes guard from I think it's Graham Lloyd, the umpire, up at the Hayes close end, under a white sun hat. Wesley checks the field and settles, and Jamie Overton is on his way. And this is on, middle and off, as Wesley defends it out on the offside. Azarali is the fielder. So 50 minutes play so far in this Specsavers County Championship First Division match between the third placed side Essex and the leaders Somerset. Overton on his way. Bowles, and this is clipped off his toes by Wesley, will bring him at least a couple. It goes out towards the square leg boundary. They're going to settle for a couple, in fact. It's fielded out there by Tim Grunewald. So that's the end of the over, and the first breakthrough has come in it for Somerset. Wesley is off the mark. He's on 2. Cook's on 17. And Somerset and Essex, I should say, are 52 for 1.
How was your journey down here?
Yeah, not bad. Came down yesterday. Yeah, stayed overnight. It's quite a long way. 3-hour drive, nearly. Quite reassuring to know that you're there, ready to go on day one, rather than worry about the M25.
Yes, bit of a lottery.
Jack Leach starts a new over, and first ball is defended by Alistair Cook. It's pushed gently out on the offside. So early introduction to the attack for the slow left arm bowler, slow left arm international Jack Leach. In and forward again comes the Knight of the Realm and defends. Leach bowls again. Here's an extra cover drive, which is going to go all the way to the boundary. Easy as you like from the former England captain. Nicely timed. So that will take him into the 20s. Alistair Cook and his team to 56 for 1.
I think the internet's fallen out. Oh no, it's back.
Here is Jack Leach. In. Cook gets onto the back foot and defends that. Banton trotting round from short leg to do the fielding. Leach tries again. Cook is forward again.
So you are staying in town?
Yes. Yes, the Saracens.
Oh, right. Lively last night, was it?
It was a bit.
Did you join in?
No. Here is Leach. This is played out to backward point by Alistair Cook. Again, there won't be a run, so end of the over from Leach. 21 Cook to Wesley, 56 for 1. Yeah, it's a rather strange feeling, really, sort of being transported from the peace of home to the centre of Chelmsford.
Yeah,
on a Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for anyone that doesn't quite know Chelmsford Town Centre, if you come in via the train, the Saracens Hotel is probably the first pub you come across. That's well, no, there's one other, but Saracens is probably the main one. And generally, it's live music, or there's certainly lots of blaring music in there, and yeah, it does get a little bit lively. Now, I can imagine you fitting in quite nicely there.
It was still lively when I went to bed.
I'm surprised you actually managed to get to bed.
Jamie Overton's going to continue from the Hayes Close end. Bowling to Tom Wesley, the new batsman. Still 3 slips in. There's a bouncer here, which Wesley gets well underneath. Goes through to Stephen Davies.
Hey, he's certainly causing a few issues for the Essex batsman. He's looking dangerous out there. So how comes he went on loan? Just because he wasn't getting into the team?
Yeah, well, he was injured at the start of the season, then couldn't get into the team. So it was really to get him some hours out in the middle.
Good.
Made a good impression at Northants. Turns and rolls in, leaning into his approach. And that's played hurriedly. by Tom Wesley.
I wonder if he was trying to take the bat out of the way there, and it just came off the bottom of the bat.
Definite signs of that extra pace that Jamie Overton has, which is such a weapon in the armoury.
What's he clocked at? High 80s?
Up to 90, highest. Already has a wicket in his previous over. He bowls to Wesley, gets into good position to defend this, just pushes it gently out on the offside, fielded by Banton. No run.
Essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us. Got an email address at all?
I've got to have a Twitter handle, which is @lamb165.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to hear from you on that as well.
We haven't really discovered Twitter in these parts yet.
Here is Jamie Overton once more. In. This is driven, and there will be runs here. Tom Abel is in pursuit. I fancy he'll pull it in, which he does. About 5 yards inside the rope at long off, and they have time to take a comfortable 2. Wesley goes on to 4, 58 for 1, Essex.
Wesley's cover drive is a thing of beauty once he gets it going.
3 slips, a gully, backward point, mid off, mid on, mid wicket, and a long leg for Jamie Overton, who's on his way in to bowl to Wesley, who leads a ball that just goes over his off stump.
Yeah, it seemed to nip back in, that one. And I think Wesley was a bit lucky there, because Overton's a tall guy, a slightly shorter guy, and that wouldn't have kicked up so high. That just missed the top of off. And Wesley breathing a sigh of relief there. That really must have hit the seam and just jagged back in.
Well, yes, particularly having seen the way the first wicket fell. Wesley settles. It is a hostile opening spell from Jamie Overton, and just strays a little bit to leg with the next delivery, and it's played down to Tim Greneveld at long leg. They take a comfortable single, which means that Wesley has kept the strike. He goes to 5. Cook is 21. Essex 59 for 1. We've had 15 overs.
So you stayed at the same hotel the whole time you're here?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to say it'll be quieter tonight, but I can't guarantee it for you. Even though it's a Sunday.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, well, yeah, you've got a better chance on a Monday, I suppose.
I'll do another over before bringing Paul back in, as Tom Wesley takes guard for the first time at the Hayes close end, and Jack Leach is going to have his first opportunity to bowl at a right-hander. Introduced early into the attack, Jack Leach. First change, in fact. We're at the river end here, is it?
It is, yeah.
The River Chelmer. Beg its pardon.
No, it's
another one, isn't it?
Yeah, I've forgotten now.
As Leach goes in, we'll find out soon enough, as that's defended by Wesley. Back to him.
I'm sure it begins with a W.
It's a shorter word than the Chelmer. I walked along it this morning on the way in.
Very pleasant walk, actually.
Leach is in, and that's pushed gently out on the offside. He fields his own bowling before giving the ball a polish. Just looking to make a slight adjustment to his field, bringing James Hildreth a little squarer at backward point. And is in again. Wesley's forward. Every opportunity here for Jack Leach to make an impression, not only on the match, but also potentially on the England selectors. with an Ashes series in prospect after the World Cup. Round the wicket to the right-handed Wesley, who clips this one firmly off his toes out to the deep mid-wicket boundary. That's his first 4, Tom Wesley, and he timed it beautifully.
He did. That was a lovely shot. River Can. That's it. I was tossing up that. It was either the River Can or the River Wid, but the River Wid's slightly out of town.
That's the end from which Leach is coming into bowl to Tom Wesley, who's forward, just pushes that gently back to him. Leach, slip and a short leg in, bowls to Wesley, who is once more forward. So the end of another Jack Leach over. 9 for Wesley, 21 for Cook, 63 for 1. And with Paul Newton coming back in for me, Dave will continue the commentary.
Thanks, Stephen. Stephen Lamb, BBC Radio Somerset. We'll be back in about half an hour's time. Been an exciting first hour, actually. 63 runs on the board, 1 wicket down. Nick Brown, Jamie Overton taking out his off stump. Brown leaving the ball alone. Seemed to have done something off the pitch. Something that made Brown look a little foolish. He went for 29. Essex going along nicely here. 63 for 1, having won the toss. And elected to bat. Cook's still there. He's on 21. And Overton will continue from the Hayes close end. It's muggy. Plenty of cloud about, but light cloud. This first delivery leaps off a length, and Cook watches it go by the off stump and through to the wicketkeeper Davis. And there's no run. Welcome back, Paul Newton.
Thank you very much, David. Good to see you. And I think this is the first time we've worked together this season, or was there one other occasion?
I think there might have been one other.
Yep.
As we do, so we do try to make sure that doesn't happen.
No, and I know we've slipped up somewhere this season, but yeah, it's 63 for 1. I think Essex would be pretty pleased with the start for all the loss of Nick Brown, who actually played very well until he was out.
Overton's going through a decent spell at the moment here as he comes in down the slope, bowls to Cook, or beats his outside edge as Cook just lunges forward, and Overton seems to be picking up a bit of a head of steam here.
He does. It's good watching him bowl, actually. He's an impressive run-up and delivery. Good bowler, and as of course is Craig, and Somerset very well served by the Overtons. And indeed very well served by all their team. Terrific start to the season, but obviously this game is a very crucial one from both sides' point of view.
Overton comes in again past the umpire, right arm over to the left-handed Cook, and that's well wide of off stump. That's an easy lead for the former England captain. There's a nice breeze that just cools everything down, but it is very muggy out there once breeze drops off.
Yeah, it's a sticky sort of day, not the sort that I particularly like, and it's also, apart from one very, very brief moment, it's been very overcast, no sign of the sun, and that will be in some ways good news, I think, for Somerset, because if the sun ever does get through, I think they're going to find it pretty hot work in the field.
Overton coming in again. There's 2 slips and a gully and a backward point for Cook, who's setting himself here, and that wraps Cook on the thigh pad and goes out towards the man at gully. And it's a dot ball. 63 for 1. We're in the 17th over here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, obviously online, bbc.co.uk, and if you download the BBC Sport app, you can listen to us on the go as well. There are a few games going on around the country. In the Cricket World Cup, Pakistan got off to a flyer. They are 97 for 1 in the 20th over.
And update from the Oval, Surrey 36 for 2 against Warwickshire.
Overton in again, bowls to Cook, who again just steps across his stumps and leaves the ball well alone. There's another dot ball.
Just going back to that score of 36 for 2, Surrey against Warwickshire, Dave. It's been one of the surprises of the season, for all the fact Surrey have had wretched luck with injuries, which can't be stressed enough. That's one of the leading reasons why they're not doing very well. But bearing in mind they were hot favourites to retain the title, and there they are with only Nottinghamshire, I think, below them at the moment. They haven't won a game. They will be getting a little bit worried, particularly as Warwickshire, who started so badly, have done very well in the last 2 or 3 games.
Overton into Cook, who again leaves alone outside the off stump, and not as threatening that over as his previous one. And a nasty lifting delivery to start with, but the rest of them fairly well wide of off stump. 63 for 117 overs gone. It's hard to feel sorry for Surrey.
Well, you're right.
But they had it was the start of the season, wasn't it? They started later than everyone else, and then they had a big gap between their first and second game, and it never seemed to really get going.
Yeah, that's right. I do feel sorry for them from one point of view, and that is the hospitality in the Surrey games is absolutely first class, and they've fed me jolly well over the years. So I won't speak unkindly of them, other than to say that I think it is the single biggest surprise of the season to find them at the wrong end of the table.
Especially when you see the quality of players they've got.
Well, yeah.
As well.
Even with the injuries, it's still got pretty impressive team, but for some reason it just hasn't quite clicked. Never easy, I hasten to add, defending a title.
So Leach continuing from the river end, left arm round to the right-handed Wesley. There's a short cover in, and it goes to the man at short cover. It's defended away by Wesley. No run. 63 for 1 in the 18th. With all this Cricket World Cup about, it's sometimes hard to forget that there is an Ashes contest that will start in just over a month's time, and Australia A are playing Derbyshire today. As Leach comes in again, bowls gives us a lot of air, and that's driven away through the offside. That's going to go down towards deep cover for a single. 64 for 1, and Derbyshire are 74 for 2 in the 16th over against Australia A.
Not a lot that we've seen so far to help Jack Leach here. Just if there is any turn, it's been very slow. Not so far any real eccentric bounce either. But no surprise to see him in the attack in, I think it was the something like the 10th over, somewhere around there.
Leach going over the wicket to the left-handed Cook. There's a short leg in as well and a slip. As Leach bowls, that's flatter, and Cook just defends out into the leg side. Just looking at the Australia A lineup, there's a few players in there that I don't recognise. Ashton Ager's in there, Sean Abbott's in there. Have you heard of Prokofsky?
No.
Will Prokofsky?
Unless it's a misspelling for Prokofiev, the famous Russian composer.
Leach bowls full, and that's clipped away into the leg side. Well, you do know, I know obviously my Russian composers like that off the back of my hand.
Absolutely.
I could just reel them off, but I won't. But
no. A wise decision.
Yeah. There's Leach. Comes in again, bowls to Cook, who's content to defend into the leg side. Short leg picks it up on the bounce. 64 for 1. So Essex off to a fly this morning with the runs. I did lose the wicket of Brown, but just going through a slightly quieter patch now, with Overton bowling so well from the Hayes close end, and Leach just tying things down from the river end as Cook clips one away into the leg side, and mid-wicket field. 18 overs gone. 64 for 1.
Decent over rate for Somerset. Of course, Jack Leach has bowled 4 of the overs, which helps, but I noticed the opening bowlers were pretty quick to get back to the top of their run-ups. Good to see a business-like approach, and Essex winning the toss. We're going along very nicely, reaching 50. None more so than Nick Brown, who rather outshone Alistair Cook in that first hour with some wonderful boundary strikes, 6 of them in his 29. But suddenly he left a ball that darted back from Jamie Overton, took out his off stump, and left Brown looking and doubtless feeling a little bit embarrassed there. He does tend perhaps a little bit too often to be bowled without playing a shot. And of course there's that remark, he knows where his off stump is, and if he did on this occasion, well, it was lying flat on the ground. Overton
from the Hayes close end, and that's an inside edge onto pads. Hill went up, but quickly drowned out as Wesley just walks to short leg to have a think about things. Yeah, Overton there, very fair competitor, immediately stifled his shout because he could see it had just taken the inside edge. I think he was right to feel disappointed one way, and that if it hadn't just taken the inside edge, Wesley had not really got a stride in at all and would probably have been plumb. And of course earlier Cook was rather fortunate when he got a bottom edge from Lewis Gregory that just saved him from being LBW. 3 slips gully backward point as Overton bowls again. That one's short and left alone outside the off stump. and it's a dot ball. Opportunity here for Somerset to attack a little bit because they've got control from both ends at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is what they didn't have in the first hour.
He's a good bowler, Jamie Overton. You know, he's obviously, because he's so tall and bowls quick, he's always going to have a slight tendency perhaps to pick up a niggle here or there. But I like his run-up and action, and he's definitely got that bit of extra pace. Without being sort of perhaps quite 90 miles an hour, he's not far off it.
Overton in again to Wesley, who drives, no timing though, into the ground, and on his follow through Overton picks it up, and it's another dot ball.
And it should be, you know, if the weather does its bit, it should be a very good close fought game, this one. Two good sides. I would say on the evidence of this season so far that Somerset have the greater all-round strength, as is evidenced by their topping the table by a good margin. But Essex, particularly on the home ground, have one individual in Simon Harmer who's been ripping through sides.
Yes, here comes Overton again, bowls to Wesley. Oh, it's an outside edge. It's played with soft hands down into the ground, and third slip picks it up on the bounce. And he's making life uncomfortable for the batsman, is Jamie Overton.
He is, and not least because he's getting the ball moving both ways there. That one visibly left Wesley off the pitch, but he's when he got Brown out, he brought that one back from outside off stump to the left-hander. And he's, as I say, he's getting a bit of lateral movement, and difficult for the batsman to determine which way it's going to go.
Thanks for your emails, by the way. Keep them coming in. We'll read through a couple of them once this over finishes. Here comes Overton in again to West. Oh, that's well wide of off stump, almost wide. Keeper takes it in front of first slip, and there's no run.
As you were saying a moment or two ago, Somerset, in the persons of Jamie Overton and Jack Leach, have a bit of a straitjacket operation on Essex at the moment, and the Essex players, quite right, they're playing the bowling on its merits, but they're having to concentrate like mad at the moment just to keep their wickets intact. Yeah,
Brooks and Gregory just didn't quite have that control in the opening 10-12 overs. That one's down the leg side, and actually Wesley misses out there. It's taken by the wicketkeeper down the leg side. That's the end of the over. 19 gone, 64 for one. John in France is listening. It was nice and sunny out there. He's been watching the World Cup matches over the past week, and he said it infuriates him, the inanities of the commentary interspersed with long silences, interminable replays, graphs and comparisons, crowd shots and loud music. He hates it. He prefers the longer form of the game. And
good for you, John.
Thanks very much for your email. Glad you're enjoying the commentary. Glad we can keep you up to date with some county cricket.
And Jack Leach will continue. This will be his fifth over from the River End. 4 overs, no maidens, none for 12. Overton, 4 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 9. He's been particularly impressive.
Here comes Leach, number 17 on his back, tosses one up, and Cook just clips it into the leg side, and it's fielded at mid-wicket. There's no run. Steve's been in touch. We're having a conversation about what the river was round behind us, and despite the fact that I've lived here, or had lived here for 10 years, completely went out of my mind. It's the River Can.
That's right.
And Steve's told me to get you and Dick on the case, and they'll put me straight. So, it's your platform.
Yeah, well, the Chelmer does go through Chelmsford.
Yes.
But it's about a mile behind us, and it's the Can just behind us, on which as many a canoeist sails down.
Leach short, cut away through the offside. That's a hit me ball, and it's smacked away to the boundary. 4 runs for Cook, and it just loosens that noose that was around the Essex batsman's neck. 68 for 1.
Yeah, rare loose delivery from Leach in that it afforded the batsman. It was too short and it was too wide, and it is typical of Alistair Cook that, having not really been able to keep the scoreboard moving for 4 or 5 overs or so, as soon as the right ball came along, he dispatched it emphatically to the boundary through the covers.
It's prompted Leach to now go round the wicket to Cook. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, Cook only really had one big match for Essex so far this season. He got 125 and 90 against Kent, but elsewhere he's been short of his usual form.
He's on 25 so far as Leach bowls, and Cook just defends into the leg side. And Leach fields off his own bowling, 68 for 1. Further river stuff from Steve. Thanks very much for this. Can joins the River Chelmsford about half a mile further east and south a touch, just past the Odeon Cinema. For those that know Chelmsford well. Leach coming in again, and that's a clipped ball through the leg side down towards deep mid wicket for a single. Cook off strike. Finally, Wesley will get a look at Leach, which I don't think he's had too much of so far. 69 for 1.
One thing that Cook, whose mentor has been Graham Gooch, has learnt from the great master is how to run the slowest possible single when there's a lot of time in hand, and there he virtually walked it.
I'll continue Steve's email once we finish this over. Just to slip in for Wesley as Leach continues round the wicket to the right-handed Wesley. That's given some air, and Wesley just defends back down the pitch, and there's no run.
Yeah, good technique there from Wesley as he got everything forward, head right over the ball. Model defensive shot.
Leach moves in again, bowls to Wesley, and who defends again forward and back down the pitch, and it's another dot ball to finish the over. 5 runs off the over, 69 for 1. So Steve says River Chelmsford the can joins the River Chelmsford about half a mile further east and south of touch, just past the other cinemas are available, but not at the geographical point or past the A1099 bridge. It says pedantically yours, which
well, we love a bit of pedantry
we do.
on the service.
The Wid is further upstream from the can, on the way to Writtle, below the A1060, joining by the near Writtle College Sports Ground. How dull us Essex supporters must sound.
Yes, you've got the point. Well, Dick would be loving this if he were here. He's not unknown to the world of pedantry.
Overton continue from the Hayes close end bowls. Oh, and that's his thick inside edge into the leg side from Cook. Almost nailed him. LBW there.
Yes, when I say Dick, for benefit of Somerset callers, that's my BBC Essex colleague Dick Davis, who I think is joining us later in the game on subsequent days. Dick having just finished a run in My Fair Lady at the Palace Theatre in Westcliff. I think it ran from Wednesday through to yesterday. He's probably having a good lie-in today. But back here at the game, Cook has the same number of runs as the number on his back, which is 26, and Wesley 10.
Overton in again, that's 4, and Cook just punches out into the offside, but it can't pierce the infield, and it's a dot ball, 69 for 1. He finishes, Steve, limnologists get into the flow of things, which is very good.
Pakistan 119 for 2 in the 24th over against South Africa.
Thanks for an email from Jacob, is talking about Will Pekowski. We were asking about Will Pekowski. I'll fill the listeners in very shortly. Overton coming in down the slope, up to the stumps, and he bowls to Cook, who leaves alone outside the off stump. So Pekowski is a very highly thought of young Australian batsman, still very inexperienced, has never played a test match, but has been part of the recent Australian test squads. Took a break last year for mental health reasons, but good to see him back. Australian fans seem excited by him. Thanks, Jacob. Essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us.
Yeah, good email that one. Thank you very much, Jacob. Nice to be filled in. As Dave and I were saying, we hadn't heard of him previously, but a name to watch out for, and without necessarily being able to spell it, we will recognise it if we suddenly see him scoring a mountain of runs this summer.
Overton to Cook, who defends, and again bat and pad together, and he's certainly causing problems out there, is Jamie Overton, who's just gone down onto his haunches, head to hand. He thought he was close there to getting the Essex opener. 69 for 1, Cook on 26.
News of one of Essex's injured players, Sam Cook, who had to abort an over in the previous game here the other day, and he's got a side strain. Now that sounds not the worst of injuries, but apparently he's going to be out for 6 weeks, they reckon. And I've seen other people with side strains, and they're not easily recovered from.
No, you can't rush it back either, because you're only going to do it more damage. Here comes Overton in again to Cook, who leaves alone. And that goes through to the wicket-keeper, and it's a dot ball. So Martin's got in touch with us, and he's saying one of the links, if anyone's having any problems listening to us, it says, nice commentary as ever, but clicking on live.nvplay.com doesn't seem to be a live video. Any listeners found a working website? I'll have a look.
We did have 2 or 3 emails giving us addresses for websites that apparently do work a little earlier.
Overton in bowls, and Cook guides that down through the slips. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. I think he opened up the face of the bat and just ran it past the man at second slip and down to the boundary for 4 runs. And again, just getting that scoreboard ticking over again. 73 for 1, and that's 21 overs gone. So I think, if I'm right in saying, Martin's looking for a site we can actually watch as well as listen.
Yes, that's right.
And you said we had some earlier, did we?
We did, yes. Nick in Crete, if you can find Nick there, he gave a good insight. It was one of the earlier ones, around about the 5th or 6th of the day.
I've got it.
Good.
I will email the gentleman back.
I think you were right to say that Cook had deliberately opened the face there, but it did nothing for Jamie Overton's sense of humour, because he'd almost trapped Cook earlier in the over, and then that one, it looked rather jerky, a little bit fortunate, but I think Cook was in charge there. However, in Overton's 5 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 13, he's not only got rid of Nick Brown, the ball before he got Nick Brown bowled, he had a very streaky 4 that was really one up to the bowler, even though it went for 4 runs, and they're certainly forcing Cook into a late adjustment, so he's really given very little away whilst presenting a lot of problems for the bowlers. And we're going to see Tim Grunewald into the attack now, formerly of Derbyshire, but always been a very useful cricketer, bats right down the order but no mug with the bat. 1 or 2 celebrated innings he's played, including some sort of last wicket partnership, I remember once, of getting on for 100 that saw an improbable victory.
Martin, I've sent you an email back with a suggested link. Here comes Grunewald down the leg side, an appeal for caught behind, umpire not interested. It was a late appeal from the bowler. It was the wicketkeeper and slips that went up for it. Must have clipped a pad as it went through, and it's a dot ball. 73 for 1 in the 22nd over here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, and also online bbc.co.uk. As I said, if you want to download the BBC Sport app, you can listen to us on the go.
Yes, it was not that far off being a strangle there. Batsman just flicks at the ball slightly lazily, and it can just take the edge and go through to the keeper.
Wesley on 10 as Grunewald comes in. That's well wide of off stump, and easy leave for the batsman. Surprised they took Leach off, actually, because he was bowling really well.
Yes, he was certainly, without really causing a lot of problems in terms of looking like getting a wicket, but he was very tight, as he nearly always is, and certainly commanded the batsman's respect. But Tom Abel knows what he's doing, and Grunewald well capable of getting a breakthrough.
Number 5 on his back, he's moved up to the stumps now, and he bowls, and left alone outside the off stump, and there's no run. 73 for 1.
It's good to see a young player for Somerset sort of made captain and make good, it sort of suggests to me possibly some counties place too much faith in pulling players in from hither and thither, and neglect sometimes the talent on their doorstep.
Grunewald kicking up his heels, nice green boots on, and he moves in now, and that's a little bit shorter, slightly down the leg side, and it's just played defensively to mid-wicket, and it's another dot ball. Chris has got in touch with us, essex.cricket at bbc.co.uk. Had a splendid Father's Day down here last Sunday. I saw a few fathers with their kids around. It was nice to see, and he came with his son and his fiancée to watch cricket. He says, well worth a weekend trip down from South Lincolnshire, a beautiful part of the world, South Lincolnshire. And he's hoping for another day of county championship cricket this season. That one's clipped away through the leg side. There's a chase on here for the fielder. It's going down towards deep square leg, and it'll just be a couple of runs to Wesley as the slide comes in. A good bit of fielding, and 2 runs for the total. 75 for 1, and Wesley goes to 12.
Well, Essex's success this season, such as it has been, they got off to an awful start with a heavy defeat at the Aegeus. Unbeaten since then, and they've drawn 2 and won 3. The 3 wins have all come here in Chelmsford, and it's been based on the bowling attack rather than the batting. Come back to that point.
Grunewald in, 2 slips for Wesley, who tries to whip that way through the leg side again. He doesn't quite time it, and it's fielded at mid-wicket, and that's the end of the over. 22 gone, 75 for 1.
Even in their 3 victories, there have been batting collapses, and generally Essex have relied on being rescued by, in particular, Peter Siddle, who I'm told is second in the national averages this season. I think he's averaging 72. I think Joe Root is top. And of course, Siddle has come in at number 9 and made some very, very useful contributions, not been out very often, and hence, such a good average.
And he's no mug with the bat either.
No, to give you a case in point, Essex collapsed from about 160 odd for 2 to 220 odd for 9 at Headingley in their most recent away game, and there was a last wicket partnership between Siddle and Sam Cook of 86, which saved the follow-on and may well have saved Essex from defeat. So Essex will be pleased if they can make a good fist of this with the bat.
2 slips in for Cook as Overton bowls. Sorry, that's not Overton, is it? That's
Gregory.
Gregory back on. And that's defended out for the first delivery. No run. 75 for 1. Start of the 23rd over.
Well, I think probably Jamie Overton has to bowl in short, sharp bursts with his extra pace. He's a cutting-edge bowler, and probably Tom Abel felt, well, that's it for that spell. But it was a jolly good spell from Overton, and he'll just be very frustrated that he didn't quite get the wicket of Alistair Cook, which he threatened to on more than one occasion in his most recent over.
Gregory in again, bowls full, and Cook drives down the ground. It's got a hand to it as Gregory misses the stumps and prevents a run as well, which they would have got had it gone straight through at 75 for 1.
Probably saved 4 runs there, Gregory. Just got a right hand down on the ball, and although he didn't stop it cleanly, it went about another 15 yards, but all the way it come off it, and Azhar Ali was deep enough to mop up.
It just am I the only one who's got a sweaty ear? These earphones are quite warm in this heat.
Neither of my ears is so far sweating, if I may update you on the sweaty ear front.
Here comes Gregory, bowls left alone outside the off stump, and there's no run. They will do.
Oh, no, you're right. I tell you, it is the sort of weather I don't like. Don't mind hot weather. You can get some wonderful days, with a nice breeze and absolutely sublime. And in that heat wave we had last summer, most of the days were actually very enjoyable because there was a breeze, even though the temperature was sort of 27s, 28s. But yeah, we know that things are going to get far worse in terms of humidity this week.
Gregory in again to Cook, who steps across his stumps and defends into the leg side, and there's no run. 30 to Cook, 75 for 1 Essex.
Not been at his most fluent, Alistair Cook, but he's still there. And that's one of the arts of batting, even if you're not feeling in particularly good form. And he's only had one match where he really has been anywhere near his best this season. But that doesn't mean to say he's had a series of very low scores, and he's still there today.
Gregory in full. Again, Cook drives down the ground. No timing there. It's more a thickish inside edge. He's trying to punch that away through extra cover, and it ends up back in the bowler's hands on the bounce, and there's no run. We cruelly neglected the game in Division 2, Gloucestershire Glamorgan. Gloucestershire 86 for no loss.
Yeah, latest score in the World Cup, Pakistan 134 for 2, 25.5 overs gone against South Africa. Surrey a bit of a recovery, 65 for 2 against Warwickshire.
Gregory bowls good length, and Cook defends back to the bowler, and that's the end of the over. 75 for 1 after 23.
Well, it's early days as far as this partnership goes, but Alistair Cook and Tom Wesley have a very good record when batting together. A couple over 200, and Essex would love to think that this might be a timely moment for them to put on their first really meaningful partnership of this season. Wesley actually has frequently looked in pretty good form this year, only to get out when it looks as if he'd score a lot more than he ended up doing.
Goodavold in now, bowls and well wide of off stump, and it's left alone. Start the 24th over. Yeah, Cook's 30 off 67 so far, and Wesley's 12 off 30. But aim of the game for Essex here will just be to keep the Somerset players out in the field for as long as possible, given the heat and humidity.
Yeah, very much so.
Wear them down.
And also, of course, always at the back of their minds, Simon Harmer coming on in the second half of the match, and that would be their hope anyway.
As Goodavold bowls, and that's left alone by Wesley.
I think
the wicket keeper.
Simon Harmer is a clear leader in terms of wickets taken this season. He's into the 40s, and certainly had an absolute field day in Essex's recent trouncing here of Hampshire, who, has to be said, contributed to their own downfall. Some of the dismissals of normally very good batsmen were very strange indeed.
Goodevelt moves in past the umpire. Right arm over bowls to Wesley, who drives through the offside, thickish outside edge. I think he was trying to put that through the covers, but it's come out point and going down towards the boundary. It will be cut off before it goes over the rope, so just a couple of runs. 77 for no loss. 2 more to Wesley, who goes to 14, but slightly clunky sound as it came off the bat.
Yeah, 77 for 1. Don't do Somerset out of a wicket. And it was, you're absolutely right, it was outside edge. If he'd really middled that, it would either have gone straight to the cover fieldsman or gone for 4. There would have been no stopping it, because he is a lovely cover drive. And then principally as a leg side player, but there's nothing wrong with his offside drives. 2 slips and a gully as Grunewald comes in. Bowls full, and Wesley on the drive coming forward, doesn't time it, it goes down towards mid-off, and there's no run. 77 for 1. Carolyn's been in touch. I will leave the email with you because I'm off after the end of this over, but it's about James Vince. Yes, I think I can, without... very, very good afternoon, I should say to you, Carolyn. Lovely to hear from you. I think I can probably guess the tenor of the email, because it's just what I was thinking when Vince was out the other day.
Here comes Goodeveld in again, bowls to Wesley. That's down the leg side, and it's taken by the wicketkeeper, and it's a dot ball. Thing is, he lights up the county championship though, doesn't he? And certainly in the one-day competition he was playing superbly.
Yep. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass the headphones to Stephen Lamb, because his laptop is right in front of me and mine's just to the left. So you keep talking, David.
Will do. Grunewald in again, bowls to Wesley. Oh, that beats the outside edge. Wesley coming forward. It's the first one for a while that's generally gone past the outside edge, and that is the end of the over. I'll stay on for a little bit because is Paul waiting for me? Okay, I'll make way for Paul Newton.
Yes, I'll just take you through the start of a new over from Lewis Gregory, who's bowling from the Hayes close end. It's a good start this for Essex, despite the loss of Nick Brown. Lost his off stump, playing no stroke to a rapid delivery from Jamie Overton. And Gregory is on his way.
Comes in, Hayes close end, bowls to Alistair Cook. Pleasantly played down to Azarali at mid-off, but no run, and score remaining at 77 for 1. And that was a very good spell, 5-over spell from Jamie Overton, Stephen.
Yes, real pace and hostility. He's back in post at second slip now, Jamie Overton, having a well-deserved break. It's sensible to bowl him in shortish spells, a bowler of his type.
Carolyn, will come to your email after this next delivery from Lewis Gregory. And bowls to Cook, and Cook drives, brilliantly stopped in the covers by Tom Abel, diving to his left, or otherwise that would have been 4 runs, as Cook timed that one rather nicely. Carolyn says, hello Paul, David, Stephen. Is there such a dearth of opening batsmen that England has to persevere with James Vince? The majority of commentators seem to think he's about to come good, but how many chances is he going to get? It seems that he loses his wicket to a similar shot on most occasions, so is he ever going to learn? Here comes Gregory again, bowls to Cook. Cook plays the ball into the covers, there's no run. I would appreciate your thoughts on this. As always, I've been enjoying all the commentaries this season. Keep up the good and entertaining work, please. Thanks very much, Carolyn. Great to hear from you, as ever. Well, I basically endorse your sentiments. I think it's more than anything, Carolyn, a case of lack of alternatives, because he has had plenty of chances, as you say. We know he's a very fine player, but I feel there's a defect in his temperament, that he gets so far and then gets out in, as you say, the same sort of way so often.
Tends to play cameos.
Yeah, yes, he is a cameo merchant. And when you're a frontline batsman at international level, that's not good enough. Here's Gregory in and bowls to Cook. Cook, who doesn't tend to play cameos, has forced this through the offside. Won't go to the boundary, but will go most of the way there. They might be able to make 3 out of this, and again they don't. And really, I think they should have done there. Good retrieving from Tom Abel, but a quicker pair at the crease would have made very short work of 3 runs. Score up to 81 for 2.
They may also have been wary of Tom Abel. They know what a good fielder he is.
Yes, indeed.
How quick he is over the outfield. That would have been a consideration.
And these are two players who probably aren't out to eke every little extra run out. They like to sort of play solidly within their limitations. Neither is quick between the wickets as Gregory comes in again. It's actually 79 for one. The board for once had got the runs up very quickly away to my right. Normally you add on the runs as Cook plays this down to Jack Brooks at mid-on. So 79 for one, 25th over, 32 to Cook and 14 to Wesley.
Yes, the sun is still not winning the battle against this thin cloud cover we've got. Still quite muggy and hazy out there.
And here comes... No, he doesn't. Gregory started his runner, saw that Cook wasn't quite ready, and returns uncomplainingly to the top of his run, and will now bowl to England's cricketing knight, who I thought was going to get a single into the covers, but there's that bit of good fielding again in the covers to prevent the run by Tom Abel. 79 for 1 in 25, 32 to Cook and 14 to Wesley.
Yeah, it's a long time since I was last at a ground to witness a knight in action out in the middle. I think the last time was Sir Richard Hadley in a test match at Lord's.
Wonderful bowler.
And he'd just been knighted. I was there with my father. It's quite late in his career, obviously. My father commented, "Sir Richard longing to be Atom." And he was.
A mighty Atom. Here comes Tim Grunewald up from the river end to bowl initially to Tom Wesley, and Wesley taken on the pads, going well down leg side. Any appeal you might have picked up in our effects mic, purely coming from the slip cordon, of which there are two, and the score remaining here at 79 for 1. Just going back to Carolyn's point, of course, if you're going to say, why do England pick such and such a player who's not been making enough runs, it does beg the question, well, who would you pick in this case James Vince's stead? And I asked myself this question the other day here. The next ball is flicked away off the pads, and they're going to get 2 runs, I think, here. Yeah, and they're coming back for the seconds. 81 for 1 is the score. 2 more to Wesley's account. He has 16. We're in the 26th over. Essex having won the toss. And I have to admit that as I was walking along thinking, well, who would I suggest then? Possibilities didn't sort of leap into mind. I'll tell you who I ended up thinking would do just as good a job. And I know people would say, A, you're biased because he's an Essex player, and B, he's old hat now. But Ravinder Bopara still moves with great speed over the field, can bowl you a good few overs as well, had a very good record actually in one-day internationals, and I just think what he has got that Vince lacks is a proper temperament where he doesn't just throw it away, you know, when he's got 20 or 30. I know he won't be picked, but it does show there is generally a dearth of options as Grunewald comes in bowls and is played down to mid-on, no run.
Yeah, I think he possibly comes into the same category as James Hildreth, who is, well, I think the feeling down in Somerset has been that he's good enough for several years since he became more consistent.
Good suggestion. I mean, I've always been an admirer of his, and rightly so. He did have one particular almighty season where he scored goodness knows how many runs. Then he had a little bit of an off period, but has been right back in form in recent times. As Grunewald's in bowls, that's a long way outside off stump. Wouldn't have been far short of being a wide there. 81 for 1 remains the score. But again, I happily endorse James Hildreth as a player who is every bit as deserving of an opportunity to show whether he'd be good enough or not, but hasn't had it.
One suspects it's not going to happen.
No.
As well.
No, I mean, Bopara clearly has had his chance, played over 100 ODIs and did pretty well in a lot of them. It's just that at the moment, you just know that Vince is going to get so far and no further, as here is Grunewald in and bowls, and this ball is driven back, very well fielded to his own bowling, because it was nicely struck by Wesley. 81 for 1. Wesley is batting with the care and concentration of a man who knows that he's got out too often when he's been well set this season, and is doing his darndest to really put a score on the board here.
Yes, looks in good nick, Tom Wesley.
Faces Grunewald again, 2 slips a gully. And there is a lovely drive, and I don't think there's going to be any pulling that one back in. Racing down, it's just slowing up as it gets towards the rope. And in fact, it doesn't go for 4, and they come back for 3. And well, maybe the outfield in that part of the ground not as quick as it is away to our right, so this being to our left. So a good bit of retrieving there. Just looking to see who that was.
Jack Leach.
Jack Leach, well done to him. 84 for 1, and Wesley moves on to 19. It was a very pleasant off drive.
Yeah, and a long chase out towards the long off boundary, so well done Jack Leach for pulling that one in. Now Lewis Gregory is going to continue from Hayes close end. He took a new ball there. This is his second spell after a break during which Jamie Overton took the wicket of Nick Brown. Fine example of the commentator's curse. We just said that the record first wicket partnership for Essex was 55. They got to 50 of them. And the very next ball off stump was cartwheeling.
Oh, George is here with the luncheon vouchers, so that's the great news of the morning. As here, this ball goes through outside off stump. No need for a shot. Thank you, Martin Levin, who's emailed us to say, thank you, fellas. The actual link for the video seems to be, and get ready for a very long address here, https://www.essexcricket.org.uk/matchzone/# M88B25D06 dash 7cc9. There's more as this next ball goes through outside off stump. Just hearing the live stream is working, and it can be viewed on the Essex Cricket Match Zone on www.essexcricket.org.uk. Please give this email out as the link is on the home page. I shall repeat it. This is on the Essex Cricket Match Zone, www.essexcricket.org.uk is the address. And I haven't nearly finished Martin Levin's address, but go to that one that I've just read out instead. Nevertheless, thank you very much, Martin, as here is Gregory Bowles, and a very good stop in the covers prevents a certain boundary. They are going to be able to take 2 runs. No, they're not. We could have a run out here, but in fact the throw, having followed a good bit of fielding, the throw, I'm afraid, was rather wayward there. It was able, it made a brilliant stop in the covers, and then the throw came in a yard away from the stumps, and Cook was able to regain his ground. So they just got the 1 run, and the score to 85 for 1, and Wesley has 20, and Cook comes into strike on 32, but very nearly, if that throw had been over the bails, it would have been good night, Sir Alistair.
Yes, and that would have been a disaster from Essex's point of view, to lose Cook in such circumstances.
Absolutely. They look to be going for 2, and I think Wesley sent Cook back as Gregory is in, bowls to Cook, and Cook has worked this one wide of backward point. It's going out towards the boundary and out of my sight now, and in fact has
been pulled in.
It's been pulled in, and who is the fieldsman there? Because you can see
George Bartlett.
Stephen, it's George Bartlett, and prevents it going for 4, and they come back for 3. So score moves up to 88 for 1, and Cook now moves up to 35.
Yeah, another means of watching the live stream, particularly for Somerset supporters, is on the Somerset website, somersetcountycc.co.uk/match-centre. It is labelled on the website, so that's working well.
Hopefully we've got everyone's interest covered as Gregory's in bowls, and Wesley are going to scoot through for what I think is going to be a leg by here, and that's confirmed. 89 for 1, and we've got another email from Steve Everett. Thank you, Steve. Istanbul Steve this is. He says currently it's 32 degrees, 90 degrees in old money. As a die-hard Essex fan, got to like how this first hour plus has panned out, in other words, more than an hour. The batting and the top 7 for Essex really looks like a stable, dependable, flexible, and most of all productive unit, as here is Gregory in, bowls to Cook, plays it straight to square leg, there's no run. Good solid batting with only one of them able to get runs, and glad Adam Wheater is back, hopefully with some form building, with Simon Harmer and Peter Siddle to do some useful backup too, and the promise of Jamie Porter to get a few too. Aaron Beard probably won't have much, not his job anyway. I'd humbly suggest if the weather brightens up, cloud lifts as you mentioned, a 400 plus score is definitely on. Do we dream of the season's top score? Let's hope. P.S. Constant sweaty ear reports definitely required. Smiley face, please continue. Thanks from Steve for introducing this new public service. Good commentary as always. Cheers, gents. Thank you very much, Steve. And he always ends his emails. The outcome is certain, only the timing is in doubt. As here is Grenaval beginning a new over from the river end, and Wesley plays it to mid-wicket. Yes, I'd have to say, in fairness, Steve, Essex have had rather too many collapses from this top 7. I think you must have gone out to lunch while they've been occurring earlier this season. I think there's only been one game really where you could say there wasn't a bit of a collapse in the Essex innings at some point. However, they have done well so far today, with 50 for the first wicket before Nick Brown was out for 29, bowled by beauty from Jamie Overton. Cook has 35, Wesley 20, 39 added for the second wicket, as Grenaval's in, and bowls to Wesley, and Wesley flicks this handsomely off the pads, just straying onto leg stump there, Grenaval, and they're going to be able to come back for 2, and this time they do go back for the second and make it 91 for 1, Wesley 22.
Yes, keep the emails coming. You can also tweet. My address for that is @lamb165. Be delighted to hear from anyone who's listening. Any thoughts, welcome, via email or Twitter.
Yep, we had a good volley of emails today. I didn't think there'd be this many with it being a Sunday, but great to hear from you all as Grenaval's in. 2 slips of gully bowls and a handsome off drive here. That looks to have the legs to get to the boundary, but again it's slowing up away to our left and won't do so. They've taken 2 and Cook decides that, Wesley decides he can come back for the third, and that takes the score to 94 for 1. A little spate of 3s in the last few moments, with Wesley now up to 25.
Yeah, another long chase for Jack Leach, very similar chase to the one in the previous over, in fact. He's putting some mileage into those legs at the moment. He's already bowled a spell of left arm spin, so very active morning for Jack Leach.
Yes, he looked to me to have got hold of that pretty well from Wesley, but it's still slowed up in the final 25 yards or so. Grenaval's in, bowls down leg side, and Cook flicks at it, misses, goes through to Davis, and score remaining 94 for 1. Moving into the final quarter of an hour before lunch. If Essex is still only 1 down at lunch, I think they'll feel they've had a very good morning. Somerset, for their part, will be very much hoping to break this partnership, if not others as well. And Grenaval up. Bowls, Cook comes forward, plays it comfortably down to Azhar Ali at mid-off, no run.
Mentioned that Jack Leach had recently had a birthday, and guessed it was 28. The guess was okay, and the birthday was yesterday.
Oh, all right.
Born in Taunton, June the 22nd, 1991. So another locally grown cricketer.
And home crowds love to have people they can look on and say, he's one of our own. And good for Jack, as here is Grenaval in and bowls. The ball's played to mid-wicket here. Remarkably, in the Essex overall squad, there are no fewer than 6 members of the Essex squad. Don't mean the actual team itself playing today, but in the overall squad, 6 members who are all born at Whipps Cross Hospital, which is in the East End of London. And I think the club simply have an arrangement with the hospital there, so give us a bell when someone else is born and we'll come down and have a look at him. So
tremendous. It's a bit like Pudsey in Yorkshire.
Yes, very much so, absolutely. The sort of production line. It's just a theory I have, but Nottinghamshire struggling at the wrong end of the table, and I am surprised that they do so much buying in and have so few genuinely local products, because it's a wonderful ground, Trembridge, a great club. And I just feel that locally born players have an extra reason for pulling out all the stops for their team.
Yeah, well, the top order of the batting is off the shelf, isn't it, really? Ben Slater from Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Chris Nash at 3 from Sussex. Ben Duckett, the other opener, from Northants. And then Joe Clark from Worcestershire.
Indeed. And here we have start of a new over, goes through outside off stump. Jack Brooks has come on at the Hayes close end to replace Lewis Gregory, and that ball did move away off the seam but was wide enough for the batsman to leave. 94 for 1, 29th.
Yeah, Brooks took the new ball from the river end, so this is his second spell. Tom Abel shuffling his pack of bowlers. We've seen 5 of them so far. Only one has taken a wicket, Jamie Overton.
Brooks again. In and bowls, and that ball is beautifully played through the covers for 4. Wesley, the man who's struck it without any real need to hit it as hard as he could have done. Nice timing. 25 to him, 98 for 1. And Brooks, so far, he has bowled a couple of good overs, but I remember that second over of the match, his first, where Nick Brown took him for 3 fours through the offside in succession.
Yes, he followed that up with a maiden and was quieter for the rest of that spell, but that was an imperiously struck cover drive.
It was. Here's the next ball, tucked away off the pads by Wesley, and that will produce the single, which brings Alistair Cook into strike and Essex to within 1 of 100 as Wesley moves along to 30 out of Essex's 99 for 1. The partnership wants one more for a half century.
Yeah, so Brooks is, I think, going to switch his line of attack, which is what he did actually in that over you mentioned when we had the flurry of boundaries from Nick Brown. He switched from over to round the wicket to good effect.
So Brown still with pretty much the same field. 2 slips, gully, backward point, cover, mid off, mid on, mid wicket, long leg, and Cook. Good judgment, because that isn't far outside off stump from Brooks coming around the wicket, but he leaves it to Stephen Davis, and Essex remain at 99 for 1 with Sam Cook out. It's feared for 5 or 6 weeks with a side strain that he incurred during the most recent game against Hampshire here just over a week ago. Actually just under a week ago technically. Brooks is in, bowls to Cook, and Cook has hammered this. It may have just been partially stopped at point. It's going out towards the boundary, it's slowing down, but it just limps its way over the rope. Would certainly have gone for 4, but I think the fieldsman there, George Bartlett, just got fingertips to it, took some of the way off it. That is variously Essex's 100 and the 50 partnership here, 103 for 1 as Cook moves along to 35.
Yeah, it was a full toss from Jack Brooks. I haven't seen many of them from him this season. I think it's the first one I've seen.
Yeah. Brooks again, bowls to Cook, and Cook has hammered this one away, and again it's half stopped by Bartlett, and certainly he's prevented, I think, 2 runs here, or will they come back for a third? And yep, they are going to, and complete it safely despite a good return coming in, and that takes Essex to 106 for 1. Cook goes up, I said 35 before, the board a bit slow, it was 39, it's now 42. There are 30 to Wesley, and there would have been, I think, 12 runs off that over. Just wait for our scorer David Jackman, who's scoring with Julius today, who's a 15-year-old who's a very keen cricketer and scorer, sharing the duties with David Jackman, and it is 106 for 1 on the board, and Essex certainly found that a profitable over.
Yeah, expensive return for Jack Brooks, switching ends for his second spell.
And Greneval to continue from the river end, and bowls to Cook. Good delivery, allowed appeal for a catch behind. Cook looks thoroughly unmoved there, and there was no real appeal from the bowler, interestingly. There must have been some sort of sound for the slip cordon to react as they did, but not out, and score remaining 106 for 1.
Yeah, sometimes the ball just clicks on something on the way through,
yeah.
And the slip cordon and keeper feel it's worth a shout. But Greneval wasn't interested.
Greneval again. Into bowl to Cook, gets one down leg side this time, flicks at it, misses. He remains on 42. Looked fairly lacking in his timing initially, Cook, but he's played some very nice shots in the last 40 minutes or so, and Wesley playing well is 30 not out.
And umpire Nick Cook has been troubled by a wasp, but not stung, I hope.
Yes, he is a man who's easily agitated, isn't he? He's a great fellow. Used to be a racehorse owner. As Grenaval's in bowls. Oh, that ball goes through outside off stump. And that was a loose shot from Cook that time. Definitely played at it. Didn't really move the feet at all. You don't generally see Cook play as loosely as that, but he's a bit fortunate to get away with it on this occasion.
I wonder if that's the wasp that was troubling Nick Cook that's coming to join us here.
Well, that's not a wasp. That's just an irritating fly. But yes, I think Nick Cook, I must admit, I absolutely loathe wasps. As here is Grunewald in, bowls to Cook. And Cook this time, middle of the bat, clips it down off the pads to long leg, single, 107 for 1. Cook up to 43. And Grunewald, a couple of deliveries left of this over, and probably might be time for 2 more overs after this, certainly 1 before lunch. And the weather has remained almost constant this morning, Steve. You just spotted, and you did very well to spot it, a tiny little area of blue sky at one point, but apart from that it's been relentlessly overcast, though quite bright, and muggy. Grunewald to Wesley, outside off stump, no stroke needed.
Yes, can't see any blue at the moment. You can see where the sun is, but you can't see the sun itself.
No, accurately described. We've heard again from Steve Everett regarding video feed. Hello gents, for those who don't get all these addresses, dots and dashes, here's another way to find the live feed. Go to the Essex Cricket website, go to Match Zone, found top of the page. Here is the next delivery. Wesley defends into the offside, no run, end of the 30th over, 107 for 1. Click on the small black box, centre right hand side, match centre, spelt American wise, CENTER. You can't trust the Americans on score spelling. Click the play triangle. There you go. Well, very explicitly explained. Thank you for that. Thanks for doing a great job, Istanbul Steve. And just to repeat from George, who came with the definitive view quarter of an hour ago, the live stream is working. It can be viewed on the Essex Cricket Match Zone on www.essexcricket.org.uk. Please give this email out as the link is on the home page. So hopefully we've cleared all that up. 107 for 1. And here comes Brooks leaning forward as he runs in, bowls, and clipped off the pads by Cook, released a single through mid-wicket. I don't think they'll come back for a second here, indeed they don't. Gregory Fields, 108 for 1. Cook has 44.
Yes, Cook nearing a half century. Chanceless so far. Just the 1 wicket has fallen in this morning's session. That of Nick Brown, was bowled by Jamie Overton for 29.
And Brooks again bowls to the right-handed Wesley. Wesley clips this one away, and that has got through the dive of Azhar Ali. Got something on it. They've taken 2 and will ponder a third, but rightly decide against it. 2 more, 110 for 1. Wesley has 32, and the partnership now worth 60. Somerset would dearly like to break this partnership on the stroke of lunch.
Yes, if the dive had been successful, then he would have cut off anything, and that's why he attempted it, but couldn't quite reach the ball.
Brooks is in, bowls, hammered by Wesley, very well stopped in the covers by Tom Abel, diving to his right, and as Stephen has been pointing out, while I've no doubt all the Somerset team are decent fielders, but Abel is exceptional. Very fast over the ground, very good arm, and good hand-to-eye coordination as well. 110 for 1, setting an excellent example as captain. And I reckon he's probably saved a double-figured number of runs out there in the covers in the last sort of 3/4 of an hour alone. As here is Brooks in, bowls, and Wesley plays this one. Again, to Abel, there's no run.
Yes, they're a good fielding side overall, this Somerset team, but as you say, Paul, Abel is the standout. We've seen some impressive run-outs this season from Abel himself in the Royal London Cup. George Bartlett managed one in a championship game at Taunton. It's against Warwickshire with just the 1 stump to aim at, which always looks great when it hits.
Here is Brooks again, bowling to Wesley. Wesley comes down a little bit late here. Decent delivery, but plays it along the ground to Abel in the covers, and he remains 32. Cook on 44. 31st over of the morning being bowled, and I would think this probably will be the last over before lunch. Essex have done a little bit of just prodding at the pitch to make sure it is the last over before lunch. There's one delivery left, and this is probably going to be the last ball before lunch, being bowled by Brooks to Wesley. And that's quite a good delivery, but it's successfully left by Wesley, who just checks with umpire David Lloyd that it's safe to leave. And a good round of applause from an enthusiastic crowd here. And Essex winning the toss and batting, losing Brown, bowled by Beauty from JB Overton for 29, not playing a shot and seeing his off stump flattened. But with Cook 44 not out.
Continuing the Essex circuit after that.
No, it's on the bucket.
On Wesley. And it'll be Alice Cook takes right from Grove. Continuing the ball from the river end.
Welcome. Did you partake?
Yes.
Thank you. Pleasure.
We'll get there eventually. Hello and welcome back to the afternoon session of the County Championship match between Essex and Somerset. So we just had a couple of technical problems, but we're now back up and running. You haven't missed too much, just one delivery by Grunwald, which went for no run. So Essex 110 for 1, an excellent morning session for the home side. And I'll pass the commentary over to Stephen Lamb.
Many thanks, David. Grunwald in to Alistair Cook. And this is outside the off stump and left alone by the knighted former England captain, who's looked very good. Very Cook-like innings so far. Very secure. 44 not out, he is. Out of 110 for 1. One success for Somerset in the morning session, the wicket of Nick Brown for 29. So Grunwald is in and Cook is away with a single down to long leg. Brown had his off stump flattened by Jamie Overton, playing no stroke. And that was the one breakthrough of the morning after Essex won the toss, chose to bat. So they're very much in control of things at the moment. Essex in third place in the championship, 30 points behind Somerset, who are the leaders. Grunwald in, and Wesley defends. Back to him. Essex have 85 points and Somerset 115 in Division 1, and Hampshire are the team in between them. They're in second place with 92 points. Grunwald on his way into bowl to Wesley. That's well outside the off stump and left alone. The sun has come out. Whew, for the first time really. It was trying to come out a couple of times in the first session, but prevented by the overriding haze. But now it is shining rather brightly.
Yeah, it's a lovely day, a little bit hot, but yeah, it's just trying to burn off that cloud.
Yeah, and succeeding, one feels at the moment.
Essex.cricket at bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us on the emails. And you listen to us on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, and online as well, bbc.co.uk. Go to the sports section of the website.
Jamie Overton is going to take up the attack from the Hayes close end. That's the end from which he dismissed Brown, the wicket I was talking about. He's on his way into bowl to Alistair Cook, who gets on top of a short delivery, stabs it down on the leg side. It's fielded at mid-wicket by Tom Banton. We had a minute's silence before play this morning. All the players standing in front of the pavilion in memory of the late Somerset chairman Charles Clark, who died at the end of last week. And the players wearing black armbands in the field as Overton comes in. It's outside the off stump and Cook leaves. It's really quite hot, quite hard work for the likes of Jamie Overton out there today. Hot and a little bit humid as well. Feels it was a good toss to win. Nowadays, of course, we know with the toss that if it happens, then whoever wins it is likely to bat. Overton is in outside the off stump and left alone. So it was different at Canterbury a fortnight or so ago when we'd had a whole load of heavy rain. The wicket had been covered, lost the first day's play completely, and Tom Abel let the umpires know that they didn't need a toss. And that worked out very well from Somerset's point of view. Overton running in towards us. And oh, that's a good Yorker, which Cook did well to dig out. Just got the bat down on his in time. Alistair Cook. Lewis Gregory gives the ball a good polish. Second slip. Got Jack Leach in the gully. And there's a backward point. Cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a long leg. Orthodox field for Jamie Overton as he comes in to bowl again to Cook. Outside the off stump and Cook leaves. Through it goes to Stephen Davies behind the stumps. As ever, there's a decent crowd in here at Chelmsford to watch this match. Various small stands around the ground, all of them populated and animated as well. Probably hear the conversation of members in front of us in our commentary box. It's a very popular stand here as Overton is in. Cook gets this one off his pads down to long leg and they take a single. Excellent throw in from the deep by George Bartlett. End of the over. That single takes Cook to 45, which I fancy it's 46 because the total was showing Nelson at the start of the over 111 and has now gone up to 112. So just the single off the over with Tom Wesley on 32.
I thought if there was one mistake that Somerset did make in that morning session was taking Jack Leach off when they did, just because I appreciate that to take Overton off to preserve him, but Jack Leach could have continued to bowl. He had real control from the river end.
Here is Greneveld in the meantime from the river end. First ball is outside the off stump. Yeah, I fancy that Leach will be reintroduced sooner rather than later. But Greneveld and Jamie Overton are in partnership in the meantime. Greneveld on his way. Right arm over the wicket and Cook is forward defending. Tom Abel fields at, I beg your pardon, Tom Banton fields at mid-wicket. Right, Tom's confused. Yes, 5 overs for 17, Jack Leach in that first spell. Two best economy rates actually are Jamie Overton and Tim Greneveld, who are on at the moment. This is not going to help Greneveld's economy rate because it's given Cook a bit of room on his pads, and we know what Alistair Cook does with deliveries like that, and that particular boundary down to deep square leg has taken the former England opener onto his half century. Applauded all around the ground as you heard. Well batted Alistair Cook.
who almost ran himself out earlier in the morning. A run out with Alistair Cook is a rare thing, but almost got in the mix up with Wesley.
Here is Greneveld into him again, and he defends firmly, full face of the bat. 99 deliveries for Alistair Cook's 50, so he's now faced 100 exactly, and he's hit 8 fours.
Get some of your emails just at the end of this over. essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us.
Greneveld turns below us and runs in. More runs for Cook here, down a very similar area to where he took the boundary. Backward square leg. Jack Brooks is into field as they just trot through for a comfortable single.
What did you opt for at lunch?
I had a burger, but couldn't eat everything. It was rather a large helping that I was presented with. Couldn't quite get through all the chips. Greneveld then will now be bowling to the right-handed Tom Wesley with 2 slips and a gully in. This will be Wesley's first ball since the break as he goes in. This is driven firmly but not quite timed. Just didn't sound quite to perfection off the bat. So that ends Tim Greneveld's over. He has 0 for 21 from 7 now. Cook 51, Wesley 32, Essex 117 for 1.
How many more World Cup games is there going to be at Taunton?
There's just one left.
Just one left, yeah. Did you have a rain out or?
I don't believe so, no. I think it's worked out quite well. I think it's dodged the weather, dodged the poor weather last week. Jamie Overton's going to continue. Yes, Somerset playing 3 away games in a row with the World Cup centred every now and again on Taunton. This from Jamie Overton. There's an attempted pull from Alistair Cook, and he's struck in a pretty uncomfortable place. Seemed to be in slow motion as he went through that attempted pull shot.
Just south of the border.
Just taking a few uncomfortable paces around the crease at the moment, Alistair Cook. Why do we laugh? Here's Jamie Overton into him, and he takes immediate retribution because he's just opened the face of the bat and run that one down to the third man boundary, Alistair Cook. So that's his retort.
I know it's their job, but I always find it amazing how the batsman managed to refocus so quickly.
That's his 9th boundary. Takes him to 55 now.
Andy and Kim have been in touch. They've been asked, saying about how hot it is here, but they're in. They are in 35-degree heat in the shade at a beach in Frango Castello by the Libyan Sea. Very nice.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, it does.
Overton bowls to Cook, who manages to paddle this down to George Bartlett at long leg. Comfortable single for that, as well visited by a bumblebee. Just has a look in and then decides it's going to find better offerings elsewhere.
Sounds lovely, but it's no county ground by the River Can, is it?
No. Not a patch. Somerset could do with a wicket soon after the lunch interval here. They particularly like Alistair Cook, of course, but Tom Wesley's looked in pretty good nick as well as Jamie Overton bowls to him outside the off stump. That keeps quite low on its way through to Davies. Takes it about knee/shin height.
Tony's got in touch with us about Aaron Beard, but I would leave that email until Paul comes on the mic. He might be a better option for trying to guess which bowler Aaron Beard reminds Tony of.
As Overton turns, arms pumping, comes in, bowls the short ball which Wesley is not interested in playing a shot at.
Two batsmen looking well set now, and not finding Overton comfortable, but they're playing him a lot easier than they were when he first came on in the morning session. Got the wicket of Nick Brown.
He's on his way in again. Tall and quick. Bowls outside the off stump and left alone by Wesley. So the end of Jamie Overton's over. He has 1 for 19. So that's pretty tidy figures from 7 overs. 2 of them maidens.
Is he quicker than his brother?
Yes. Not a lot quicker, but he is the quicker of the two. Craig is more of an all-rounder than Jamie. Although Jamie can bat as well. It's a very handy pairing.
Yeah.
Jamie's gone to second slip. They are both very good slip fielders, and they can field in any position. As Tim Greneveld starts a new over, that's defended by Cook. They've taken some fantastic catches, both of them. And when you think they're 6 foot 5 inches tall, you don't necessarily associate that with athletic fielding.
Yeah, well, you don't usually see fast bowlers in the slips, do you?
Absolutely. I've seen Jimmy Anderson do it for England when spin's been on, but it doesn't happen often. Looks like we are going to see Jack Leach before long, as Greneveld is in to Cook, who drives back to the bowler.
Yeah, I just thought at the point at which they took him off, he'd just started to get his rhythm going, and Essex were finding it difficult to get him away. Yeah, I also had the reason for taking him off, but I thought he should have stayed on just from this end, just till getting close to lunch. Give him 10, 12 overs.
Greneveld with 2 slips and a gully in. Bowls to Cook, and that one is outside the off stump and left alone. The sun, which had come out quite brightly as we started after the lunch interval, has rather gone in again. Covered maybe by a slightly thicker patch of cloud. There's still plenty of high cloud around here at Chelmsford. Greneveld round the wicket to Cook, who defends comfortably enough. Abel is quickly around from cover to field. Be at the river end or the Hayes Close end for Jack Leach, I wonder. Started from the river end this morning. Greneveld outside the off stump, left alone. So James Hildreth and Jamie Overton, first and second slip. Lewis Gregory is in the gully, Tom Abel cover. Azhar Ali is polishing the ball at mid-off. As Greneveld goes in again. Once more outside the off stump and left alone. Keeping the lid on things quite nicely at the moment, Somerset. 122 for 1, Cook 56. Wesley 32.
Yeah, just need to create a few more chances. That over just slightly too wide of off stump from Greneveld. Didn't quite make Alistair Cook play enough.
Sun burning its way through again. I fancy Leach will be bowling from the same end as he started from. It's still to be Overton from the Hayes close end. This is defended from the crease by Tom Wesley.
Scores elsewhere. Pakistan are 272 for 4 in the World Cup against South Africa. 4.4 overs remaining in that first half of that game. Surrey are 100 for 3 against Warwickshire, so a bit of a recovery. They're 20 off for 2 earlier this morning. And Gloucestershire are 144 for 1 and in control against Glamorgan in Division 2. Derbyshire are 218 for 5 against Australia A.
Overton bowls to Wesley, who plays a very nice paddle down to deep square leg, and it's going to go all the way to the boundary. Nicely timed.
Really beautiful bit of timing all across the wicket, and it's a bit of a slow outfield out there today, so it's taken a lot to get them to the boundary rope. But a lovely shot off the hip, just whipped away, all timing, no real aggression in it, just used the pace of the ball and perfectly timed off the hip.
Just checking on the World Cup action at Taunton has actually finished. They had 3 matches there. So, and that's why I was saying earlier, Somerset have been playing away from home. Their last 3 championship games have been away from home, as Overton bowls, and that's on-off stump, defended by Tom Wesley. And that looked on the fixture list when the season started as the trickiest period, really, with 3 away games on the trot. But Somerset have actually won both of the first 2 pretty comfortably. But they've got a big effort on their hands here, one feels, after losing the toss.
Yeah, it's been a good start for Essex, 126 for 1.
Overton on his way. Outside the off stump and left alone. Now they beat the champions, Surrey, who've had a difficult start to the season, really. And that was at Guildford. And then beat Kent at Canterbury a fortnight or so ago in 4 sessions, less than 4 sessions. And let's not forget that they've won the Royal London Cup as well. They're having a tremendous season, Somerset. But we're not yet halfway through the championship programme. We will be at the end of this game, as Overton is in again. Oh, it's edged and it's caught behind. Wesley's gone. He was looking to hit that one to the square leg boundary, and he's feathered it through to Stephen Davies. So Wesley rather disconsolately makes his way off. It's not a great feeling to be out like that, but Jamie Overton has struck again. He's taken a wicket in the first session, now he has a wicket in the second. Tom Wesley caught by Stephen Davies off Jamie Overton for 36. Essex are 126 for 2.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed there. Another start for Wesley, and he hasn't quite managed to convert. Seemed like a half-hearted pull as well, not entirely convinced he was prepared to go through with the shot. It wasn't exactly a nasty delivery, it was there to be pulled away, but he just didn't execute it.
It wasn't a threatening delivery,
no,
was it?
it wasn't at all, and it was there to be hit, and he just didn't execute the shot properly, and he's edged it through to the keeper.
So much needed breakthrough for Somerset. And we're going to see Dan Lawrence come out to join Alistair Cook now. What sort of a season has he been having?
You know what, he gets, speaking about this the other week, he gets tough runs. He came in the last game when Essex were in a bit of a dire position, and he scored some runs there. He hasn't got as many runs as he probably would have liked, but he seems to do it for Essex when Essex are really under the cosh.
Well, you wouldn't quite describe them in those terms at the moment on 126 for 2, but the old adage, you add a couple, and it could look quite different. But Somerset have got to do that. And Jamie Overton looks the best placed man to do it at the moment, having struck twice already. 3 slips in for the new batsman, plus a gully. So Tom Abel quite rightly going on the attack as Jamie Overton comes in. There's a full-length delivery. It's an appeal for LBW. I think for pad before bat was why they were asking. And it's given not out, and there are 1 or 2 objections from people in the partisan crowd in front of me.
I'm assuming that was picked up on the effects mic. Can get a little bit lively.
Anyway, it was umpire Graham Lloyd who was the man who mattered, and he was very clear that it wasn't out. It was good delivery.
Yes.
To serve first up.
It was full, it was straight-ish. Andy and Kim have been back in touch. They sent us a photo of where they're of the beach. It looks very nice, and they're saying they're looking forward to getting back to Taunton soon, and hopefully see us there in the near future.
So we were wondering about Jack Leach coming on. He isn't for the time being. Tim Groeneveld's going to continue to the left-handed Cook, defends up to Leach, who's at mid-on. Wonder whether the wicket may have influenced Tom Abel's decision in that regard. Wanting potentially to bowl at the new batsman with pace at both ends, maybe. Groeneveld, arms pumping, in again.
Oh,
That was nearly another one. Play and a miss from Alistair Cook. Haven't seen that very often.
Well, it swung perfectly in the air, swung late as well, so Cook had to play it. And lucky for him, he was playing down the line of off, and the ball just drifting wide of off stump.
Yeah, that's if Tom Abel did change his mind regarding the change, then he's rather been vindicated by that delivery.
That was a beauty, that one.
Groeneveld round the wicket, tries again. Cook stabs his bat down onto this, plays it out to leg, square leg, and takes a pretty comfortable single, but it wasn't a convincing stroke.
Seemed to keep a little bit low as well.
There has been a touch of uneven bounce. Might be a concern as the match progresses. Somerset, of course, have got to bat last.
Ron's been in touch, essex.cricket at bbc.co.uk about the World Cup. We'll let Groeneveld finish this over.
Going back over the wicket to the right-hander, Lawrence, who clips this one off his toes. He's going to get runs for it, probably a couple, down to deep square. It is a couple. So that's got Dan Lawrence off the mark, 129 for 2.
Yeah, he's a nice shot maker, is Dan Lawrence. Just needs to back it up with some more runs this year.
Well, he's done the first bit, which is to get underway. Settles again, bat raised as Groeneveld goes in, and he just flips the bat over the top of a ball that's outside his off stump. Lets it go through to Stephen Davies.
There's a couple on the balcony of the retirement homes at the opposite end of the field. You're pretty much there for most games. Lovely view, a lovely apartment to have as well, overlooking the ground. Got a few down at Taunton these days, haven't you?
We have, indeed. It's all another beauty from Groeneveld. That's left Dan Lawrence and gone through to Stephen Davies. Now, the ball did more. It seemed to do more in that over than it's done at any stage of the match so far.
Yeah, very strange. I've hardly seen anything up until that over, but yeah, he seems to be getting the ball moving through the air, and like you said, that may convince Tom Abel just to keep him on for maybe another couple of overs. So Ron's been in touch about the World Cup.
I just quickly on that, I wonder whether losing the sun, we've got a fairly heavy cloud now.
Yes.
I wonder whether that may be contributing.
Yeah, possibly. He says, I'm interested to hear your opinion on what looks like a defining week for English cricket, with games against Australia, India and New Zealand.
Here is Jamie Overton then, with another wicket in his bag since lunch, bowling to Cook, who gets a lifting delivery outside the off stump. He was just wondering, Alistair Cook, about trying to run that down to third man, which he's done successfully already this session, but electing not to. Maybe it's after what he saw in the previous over.
Yeah, possibly. Ron asked, which semi-final venue suits England better, Old Trafford or Edgbaston? And he's at least glad they won't have to play on the pudding of a pitch in Yorkshire.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate turnaround, wasn't it? As Overton bowls again, and this is played down to long leg. Will be a single for Alistair Cook.
So, Old Trafford or Edgbaston?
Well, in terms of the volume of support, you've got to go for Edgbaston.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say so.
End of the over from... No, I beg your pardon. He's got another one. It's the field just changing around for the right-handed Lawrence.
England have also got to make the semi-final first of all, which is...
It's not so certain now, is it?
Certain, no.
They've got to win at least one game. Might have to win two, depending on how other results go. And it's the toughest opponents that have been saved for the end of the group stage. India, Australia and New Zealand, as Jamie Overton comes in outside the off stump and left alone.
Yeah, so it's Australia on Tuesday, India next Sunday, and then New Zealand, I presume during the week, maybe a Thursday or something, the week after. But yeah, it'll be a bit of a damp squib if England fail to win any of those. It does concern me that the two tight games have been involved in, they've lost both of them.
Yes, the ones they've won, they've done so.
Yeah, emphatically.
In style. Overton then, outside the off stump, and Lawrence plays a defensive shot out on the offside, no run.
Yes, almost the complete opposite for New Zealand, who've won all the tight games they've been involved in. Including the one last night. Did you see the one last night?
I missed that.
Yeah, well, that's an incredible finish. West Indies looked down and out. They were 150 off for 5, chasing 230, I think it was. And then Carlos Brathwaite got a century and almost took them over the line.
Here is Overton again. Right arm over the wicket. Oh, was a play and a miss here from Lawrence. That was a delivery that he didn't have to play. It's a bit like the dismissal earlier in the session, although that was a fuller length delivery, but it was going to pass the off stump harmlessly, and he went for the drive, made no contact with it. Lots of people loosening up. Lewis Gregory is now. Azhar Ali was a short while ago. I'd be very surprised if he comes on, although he has taken wickets for Somerset this season in the Royal London Cup. Actually, he got a 5 for at Worcester in the semi-final. Oh, this is outside the off stump and left alone. Not semi-final, quarter-final, I should say, at New Road. End of the over. Cook is 58. Lawrence is 2, 130 for 2. That was a great run as well of cricket away from home for Somerset. They, having got through the group stage, they had to go to New Road for the quarter-final and then Trent Bridge for the semi. And they won them both. And of course, won at Lord's in the final, beating the holders Hampshire. We were thinking he might keep Grunewald on, weren't we, after that? The movement that he found in that last over. And he's going to continue. Bowling to Alistair Cook. That's not the right line, that's down the leg side.
I think Essex are at New Road next up with... they've got a game against Warwickshire. Can think of worse places to go for a weekend. Yeah, if it dries out. Yeah, it's underwater at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They had to play at Kidderminster.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's unusual for it to flood at this time of year. Happens regularly in the winter. Grunewald bowls and Cook defends. A ball on middle and leg. Just pushes it gently back down the wicket. You can sense that Somerset are really on their toes in consequence not only of Jamie Overton's wicket, of Tom Westlake, but also the fact that we've seen the ball beat the bat on several occasions since. This one from Grenevelde, there's another play and a miss.
Beauty.
From Alistair Cook. Now, I don't think I saw him play and miss at all in the first session, and it's happened twice now in 2 overs. Somerset sniffing opportunities here. Can they take them? And they find the edge. Take number 3. Grenevelde hopes so as he runs in. Cook just stabs a bat down on this at the last minute. Gets it down to long leg for a single. There are lots of oohs and ahs from the slips.
He's definitely getting some movement through the air, Grenevelde.
Suddenly look more difficult. Just the last 3 or 4 overs. And they've been good when opportunities have presented themselves to the Somerset attack this season. They've been good at taking them. Grenevelde in to Lawrence, who comes well forward. This is a fascinating spell.
Yep, got to play the bowler with some respect here. He's getting the ball to do a bit of talking. It's not about scoring runs at the moment, it's just about seeing off Grenevelde.
He's in his 10th over, Tim Grenevelde. Has 0 for 25 so far, very tidy figures. Love to have something in the wickets column though as he goes into Bolter Lawrence. Won't get anything with that because it's well outside the off stump, and there's no need for Lawrence to play it. Maiden over. Lawrence on 2, Cook on 59. Essex 131 for 2. I beg your pardon, there was 1 run off it for Alistair Cook.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if it is got to do with the cloud cover. Just
suddenly become a different game.
It has, yeah.
Looked very comfortable for batting in the first session, and at the beginning of this session didn't seem to be any problems when they restarted after lunch. And suddenly, and this is absolutely no surprise to see Lewis Gregory coming on, because Jamie Overton has done his stuff. He's bowled a short spell, taken a wicket, and Gregory, if the ball is moving around, he is the go-to, well, he's one of the go-to men.
Do you want me to pick up commentary? I've unfortunately allowed you to go overtime. Sorry about that.
That's all right, David, no problem at all. I'll let you carry on and I'll bring Paul Newton in.
Lovely. Thanks, Stephen. Be back in about half an hour's time. So Gregory going to take over from the Hayes close end. Jamie Overton just got a little bit wayward at the end of the last over. Pushed a few balls well wide of off stump, and Gregory now coming in up to the stumps, and he bowls to Cook, who leaves alone outside the off stump. There's 2 slips, a gully and the backward point. There's also a cover mid off, mid on, deep square leg, and there's probably a fine leg as well, just out of our view. Welcome back, Paul Newton.
Yes, the game's changed. 1 loose shot from one of the set batsmen. Neither had looked in any trouble at all. Suddenly the ball's hooping around all over the place. Story of Essex this season. 1 wicket goes down. They better watch out here.
Gregory into Cook, who on his toes punches into the offside, doesn't beat the man at cover, and there's no run. 131 for 2.
Admittedly, if there's one player you'd take perhaps to buck the trend, it'd be Alistair. But you can look at a number of examples, most recently, or one of the more recently ones at Headingley, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Essex were making a good reply to Yorkshire's total and were 160 odd for 2 and then 220 odd for 9. You know, it has tended to go a bit like that. Needs another couple to dig in from an Essex point of view.
Gregory into Cook, who drives through the offside. That's a lovely shot. It's beat the man at mid-off. There's a chase on here. It's going to get to the boundary, I think. Fielder's chasing after it. It does just get over as the slide comes in. It's a very slow outfield today, but it does get to the boundary rope for 4 runs. 135 for 2. Yeah, a strange shot from Tom Wesley. He didn't seem to commit to it.
No, I agreed with your statement at the time, half-hearted, because we're not trying to suggest he wasn't trying, but for me, I thought he was going to leave it. And then at the last moment, it was as if he said, oh, maybe I'll have a go at it after all, and it just, dangerous thing to do, just flick the top edge.
Gregory into Cook again, who leaves alone outside the off stump. There is an email that's coming from Tony, which I think might be right up your alley. He says, it's about Aaron Beard. He says, I watched him bowl for the first time on the live stream during the previous game. It took me a while to think whose action came to mind. Eventually it hit me. I'm thinking of a top international bowler from way back, and who do you reckon I'm referring to?
Oh, crikey, I'd give myself nul point here straight away.
Tony says he'll let us know just before tea.
Right, I'll have a think about it.
Gregory in, bowls to Cook down the leg side. It's come off the pad. There's a pill for LBW, first of all. Keeper had no interest. It was Overton at second slip, and Gregory the bowler, and the umpire makes him aware that was going down the leg side.
Yes, definitely. It may actually have struck him in front of leg stump, but it's right arm round to left-hand batsman, and by the time it reached the stumps, I don't think you could possibly have given that out.
Yep. Gregory back at the top of his mark again. Under cloudy skies, it's warm out there, very muggy as Gregory bowls well wide of off stump, and the keeper takes it just in front of the first slip, and that's the end of the over. 41 gone, 135 for 2 Essex. Remember, they won the toss and elected to bat. Cook's on 63, and Lawrence freshly at the crease is on 2.
Well, yes, Essex, a sedate start after lunch, but didn't look as if they were in any danger until Wesley's dismissal, whereupon both these batsmen have really been hard put to it to survive. Somerset have upped their game. It's like scoring a goal in football. You know, if that doesn't lift the team, goodness knows what will, and Somerset have been visibly lifted by breaking the Cook and Wesley partnership. Wesley yet again, he's looked in very good form this season, but just keeps getting out before he's really finished the job. He did make a very good 77 at Headingley, but there again, I think all batsmen who bat near the top of the order, they rate their career in terms of centuries more than anything else, and Tom is such a talented player. He could certainly have had double the number of actual hundreds that he's gotten. Again, as you rightly implied in your description of his dismissal, he just seemed to sort of lose a moment's concentration, and I sensed he was concentrating for all he was worth up until the time he was out. He was really getting his head over everything. I'm sure he'll be more frustrated than anyone.
Jack Leach is going to take over from the River End, so Grunewald is done for the meanwhile, but Jack Leach, along with Jamie Overton, took the game by the scruff of the neck midway through the morning session, and certainly calmed things down from a Somerset point of view. He's back on now. I thought it was taken off a bit prematurely this morning, to be honest, but he's back on now. A little bit of breeze has picked up out in the middle. You see Leach's shirt fluttering around his back, and he bowls now to Lawrence, right arm over to the right-handed Lawrence, and that's defended back to the bowler, and it's a dot ball. 42 overs, or in the 42nd over now, on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, online, bbc.co.uk. Here comes Leach again, left arm round as batsman comes down the pitch. He doesn't quite get to the pitch of the ball. It spews off the outside edge of the bat and down over mid-off. It plugs, and there'll just be a couple of runs, but he didn't get all of that, Lawrence. He's trying to be attacking against the left armour, but almost got that wrong. 137 for 2, 4 to Lawrence.
I've seen him out that way all too often. I think it's too early in not only his innings, but in facing Jack Leach to have done that, and Jamie Overton's been moved a little bit further back, so from an Essex point of view, I would hope that Lawrence has observed the change in the field, because from where he is now, that would have been a catch.
Leach, left arm round to Lawrence, who just defends into the leg side, and it's a dot ball.
And, you know, I mean, Wesley was out at a ball he didn't need to play at, and although Lawrence would have needed to play at the ball where he could have been caught, or was nearly caught, it's, as I say, for me, ill-judged.
Leach, number 17 on his back, is ready to come in again. He bowls to Lawrence, who just turns it back to the bowler. And again, there's no run. What
Essex need, they have chosen to bat. They need to do what Cook does. Just grind away, not get carried away, not feel that they've got to hit a boundary in the next half hour, and however long it takes, put at least 300 on the board.
Yeah. 137 for 2. The short leg goes down as Leach bowls. That's driven through the offside. There's a fielder out in the deep though, runs round to field from the deep cover position. A single to the total. Lawrence goes to 5, 138 for 2.
Now that I totally approved of, regardless of who the batsman is. Compared to the one that nearly got him out, He didn't premeditate, which he did when he danced down the track. He got to the pitch of the ball, the head was right over it, the bat was straight. That's how he needs to play.
Certainly more in control of that shot than he was when he tried to plant it over.
Absolutely.
Mid-off. Leach coming left arm over to the left-handed Cook. A slip and a short leg in. There's a point cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and backward square leg. Deep backward square leg, sorry, and a short fine leg. This first delivery is just turned away into the leg side, and that is the end of the over. 42 gone at 138 for 2.
Ooh, score from Surrey, Warwickshire. You ready for it, everyone? I last heard you updated 100 for 3. It's 116 for 6. And I don't think Surrey are going to go anywhere close to defending their title this year. Derbyshire against Australia A, 266 for 8. And Pakistan made 308 for 7 in the World Cup game against South Africa. I was hearing you talking about the fixture that Essex are scheduled to play at Worcester, and would it be changed to Kidderminster, a ground where I had the nicest lemon meringue pie in my entire career. So I'd love to go back to Kidderminster. There's also a rumour going round that Essex might, or the two counties might apply to reverse the two fixtures.
Gregory in bowls to Lawrence. That's left alone outside the off stump, and there's no run. 138 for 2. Oh, really?
And I would be among many who would be quite annoyed about that if they did reverse them, because ever one to look after number 1, I've already booked my hotel accommodation in the Worcester area.
Same here. I was thinking exactly the same. Great minds.
Yes. And the other thing, and I don't mean this nasty, it's a fine county, Warwickshire, but I've just never liked Edgbaston, I'm afraid, try as I might.
Gregory coming in, right arm over to the right-handed Lawrence. Oh, that one lifts off a length. That's an absolute snorter. How he didn't get anything on that, I'm not entirely sure, but that was a good length delivery, and it just spat up at Lawrence through to the wicket-keeper, and he survived. Dot ball.
Too good to take a wicket.
Yeah.
Yeah, no fault to Lawrence there. I would have hated having to deal with that. And probably, as I say, because it was too good to take a wicket, probably nearly everyone would have done the same and simply missed it. But this pitch suddenly, which looked so blameless up to lunch, is beginning to do things.
Yeah, there was a bit of uneven bounce from the river end as well, but this one's from the Hayes close end. As down the hill comes Gregory again, bowls to Lawrence, watchful, defends into the offside. Cook starts to come for a single and then gets sent back. Was here the other week when Cook got run out. Was it third time in 500 odd innings?
Yes.
He almost got run out again this morning.
Well, he did. He should have been.
Yeah.
Good throw, and it wasn't a particularly demanding throw. It was about from, say, 60 yards, which is meat and drink to most cricketers. It just needed to be over the bails, and Cook was toast, as if you'll pardon the possible pun. But no, he survived, and he's still there now. Gregory
in again, bowls to Lawrence, and that's an easy leave outside the off stump.
He's, as I was saying this morning, a terrific cricketer, Gregory. You know, he would be an asset to whichever side he played for, because he can bowl, he can bat in different styles as well. You know, he can get his head down if he has to. He can clobber the ball all over the place, and he's a very, very wholehearted trier.
Essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us. Who does Aaron Beard remind you of when he bowls? Old international cricketers. That one's driven by Lawrence. No timing down to mid-off, toe end of the bat, and there's no run.
I'm tempted to say W.G. Grace, but we won't go down that road.
We'd need Dick here to clarify that.
Yeah, I think we need several clues before we try to close in on our target.
Yeah.
And preferably the best clue of all, the answer.
Gregory coming in again. 2 slips, a gully, a backward point to Lawrence. Oh, I racked him on the pads. Big LBW appeal, he's gone. Given by the umpire. And Gregory has backed up the work done by Grunewald a couple of overs ago. Pinned Lawrence to the crease. Never entirely looked comfortable. Got an absolute ripper early in the over, which just failed to get an edge on, and this one just darted back, wrapped Lawrence on the pads, and Essex have lost 2 wickets after the lunch break. It's 138 for 3. Lawrence goes for 5, and he follows Tom Wesley back into the hutch.
Yes, I wouldn't blame the batsman there. I think it looked very plumb from where we're sitting. We're not in the ideal position, but nor are we far from being an ideal position. We're looking over first or second slip's head, and basically he just shuffled across his stumps. It seemed to me, if anything, to have kept a bit low, which merely increases the expectation I had that David Lloyd would raise the finger and find the batsman guilty. Hasn't been a great season so far, it has to be said, for Dan Lawrence. When you think of a couple of years ago, that wonderful innings he played to save Essex from defeat here against Lancashire, when he batted for 333 deliveries, a monumental feat of endurance and concentration, and that seems to be a bit lacking in his game now, not because of the way he got out here, that was a good ball, but you think of how he nearly got out charging Jack Leach 5 minutes ago. Ravinder Bopara, the big bopper, has made his way out to the middle now to join Alistair Cook, and these two have been phenomenal cricketers who've come through the Essex Academy in the last couple of decades. One thinks of the time the two of them played in a two-day game against Australia, and Alistair got a double century and Bopara 100, and they put on very nearly 300, and that wasn't to deceive, as it were. It didn't flatter to deceive. Both of them have gone on to fantastic careers, and obviously Alistair the more fantastic of the two, but it's worth pointing out, as Essex supporters have often heard me say, over the last decade, Cook is the 6th highest scorer in all cricket, in all forms of the game, in the world, and Bopara the 7th.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah, and people underestimate what Bopara has done. Two fabulous cricketers through the Essex youth system.
Leach, who's top, by the way?
Tell you that in a moment.
Leach in bowls to Cook, who's back on his stumps, whips it away through leg side. That's a brilliant bit of fielding away to his left hand side, diving at mid wicket. He's hurt his arm as he's dived. I can't quite see who that is if he turns round.
It's probably Tom Abel. He usually fields there. It is indeed.
Yeah, Tom Abel.
He throws himself all over the place. Magnificent fieldsman.
Leach in again, flatter, and Cook defends, and there's no run.
I've forgotten the exact order, but those above Cook and Bopara are merely Virat Kohli, not necessarily in this order, Hashim Amla, remember this is runs scored in all forms of the game in the last decade, A.B. de Villiers, David Warner, and I shall need time to think who the one... it's Kumar Sangakkara who was top.
As Leach bowls, and that's defended into the offside, and there's no run.
And I'll tell you what, Dave, if you can be, as it were, runner-up to those 5, you haven't wasted your career.
No,
You've fulfilled yourself.
Here comes Leach, moving in again, and he bowls. And there is no run. So just double checking we're still dialed up. I've had a few issues with the power cable recently. Leach turns it again. Bopara still waiting at the non-striker's end, as Cook waits for Leach, who's in now, and gives it some air, and Cook defends into the leg side, and there's no run.
Certainly if Somerset did get the wicket of Alistair Cook now, they would suddenly feel that, if anything, they were not merely back in the game, but suddenly on top.
Yeah. Leach, flatter, bowls, and Cook forward defends. Back to the bowler, and that's the end of the over. 138 for 3. It does feel there's been a bit of a momentum swing post-lunch.
Equally, though, you have to put both sides' points of view. An Essex supporter would say, wait a minute, Somerset supporters, there's a little matter of Simon Harmer waiting in the wings. Even a lowish Essex total might yet render a victory in the end, as was the case against Hampshire. Essex really didn't score a lot of runs in the game. It's just that the Hampshire batsmen, in various ways, kept getting out to Harmer. 12 wickets in the match.
James Hildreth's gone grey. Looks like James Hildreth has gone grey underneath his cap there.
Yes, it does look that way.
I haven't seen him for a while. Right, Bopara just taking his guard. 138 for 3, we're in the 45th over. And it's to be bowled by Gregory. And that's outside edge. Oh, it's dropped short of the slip, I think. Man at third slip, not sure if it carried. It went quickly, it went low. And it's Leach is the man at third slip. Now, Paul, do you think that carried?
Well, I think he just about got a fingertip to it before it hit the ground, but I wouldn't put it down as really a chance. You can never dive forward at slip, and it was going very quickly. Technically, you might say it was arguably a chance, but I wouldn't really hold that against Jack Leach.
Gregory in to Bopara, who defends and pushes out into the offside. Cover fields, and suddenly they're on their toes and very vocal, the Somerset fielders, with those 2 wickets in pretty quick succession, 138 for 3.
Well, Bopara's, although he missed 2 of only 6 championship games that Essex have played this season, but he got 100 in the defeat down at the Ageas. He's looked pretty good since that. If it had just carried to Jack Leach, would have been another great breakthrough.
Gregory coming in now past the umpire up to the stumps, and he bowls, and that's an outside edge as well, and it's flown over the slips for 4. Streaky start from Ravinder Bopara, but he's off the mark. 4 to him, 142 for 3, but less than convincing.
Well, when you bear in mind we've got 3 slips and a gully, and I know you can say, well, that's pretty attacking field in itself, but it would have been a head-high catch to 4th slip had there been one, and I think we might even see gully, Azhar Ali. I thought he was walking over as though he might be going to 4th slip. He's not, but the way Somerset have got on top since the dismissal of Wesley, where they haven't really looked likely to be a breakthrough at all, but this is Essex's problem this season. Once one goes down, I won't say the whole lot, but a good number tend to, and I'd put a 4th slip in, no question about it.
Gregory coming in down the hill again, bowls to Bopara, who's on top of the bounce and guides that away past the man at gully. It's going to run down towards the boundary. It won't go over the boundary, it'll just be a couple of runs as the throw comes in. And Bopara goes to 6, 144 for 3, but he's much more in control of that shot.
Yeah, one thing we can say without fear of contradiction, going back to the one, did the ball just carry to Jack Leach or not? Bopara was on naught at the time. Had the slip cordon been a yard up, then it would most definitely have been a chance, and I think he would have caught it.
Gregory turns to come in again. Slips go down as Gregory reaches the stumps, he bowls, and again Bopara defends. It won't get past the man at gully this time, as a rally doing the fielding. Dot ball.
Interesting point to make, Dave, at this juncture, is that I would suggest the light at the moment is just about the best it's been all game, even though there's no hint of sunshine. Whether that might come to Essex's aid a little bit, I don't know, but it's been perfectly playable light, but not very good light, and I think with this humid atmosphere it has assisted the Somerset bowlers in the last half to 3/4 of an hour, and they bowled very well.
Gregory in, bowls to Bopara, who drives it through the offside, but can't beat the fielder, who comes around from mid-off, and it's a dot ball to end the over. 144 for 3, 45 overs gone.
So, going back to the start of the day, a 50-run partnership for the first wicket, then Nick Brown bowled, not offering a shot, to a superb delivery from Jamie Overton for 29, because he slanted it across the left-hander, yet brought it back to knock out the off-pole. 76 runs between Cook and Wesley, mainly looking in no trouble at all. Wesley then got a bouncer, which he looked to be leaving, but at the last moment decided to have a swish at it and feathered it through to Stephen Davis for 36. That was Jamie Overton was the bowler there. I might have said Leach was Jamie Overton again. And then Dan Lawrence, LBW to Gregory for 5. Good delivery.
Leach continuing from the river end. He bowls to Cook, who clips this down towards mid-on, but there's no run. So Ron's been back in touch, essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk, and I now know who the bowler he's referring to, but I'll lay some hints for you. South African.
All right. A South African of yesteryear.
Leach bowls, and that's defended back down the pitch.
In the not too distant past.
No, I mean he's still playing.
Oh. Yeah, mine's a complete blank here, but let our other listeners have a stab by all means.
Leach ready to come in again. Short leg goes down, and he bowls, and that's clipped towards short leg. Good bit of fielding that from short leg on the bounce. It's hit quite firmly.
Dale Steyn.
That's the one.
Yeah, there is I know what you mean, because neither is a big man, and they sort of bustle in almost subterraneously.
Leach moving in past the umpire. He's up to stumps, and he gives out a lot of air, a lot of loop, and Cook comes with a big stride down the pitch, doesn't quite get hold of it, and pops it down towards mid-off for no run. 144 for 3 in the 46th over here. BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, online bbc.co.uk. Leach comes in again, flatter delivery this time, and not much turn, but Cook gets outside the line of off stump and gets bat and pad together and just drops it into the leg side, and there's no run.
Well, certainly Essex prepare their pitches, as do Somerset, with the aim perfectly legitimately of giving some help to spinners. And Somerset have Jack Leach and Essex have Simon Harmer.
Leach, left arm over to the left-handed Cook, who just turns it away into the leg side. Big call of no as Bopara starts to come for the single. And it's a good call as well. It's the end of the over. 46 overs gone. 144 for 3, and we're coming up to 20 to 3 on the Sunday afternoon. Very pleasant.
Yes, I think why Messrs Leach and Harmer have had the success they've had, I don't think English players play spin very well at all. You don't see many who actually use their feet properly for the spinner. I'm not talking about closing your eyes and having a charge down the wicket. I'm talking about keeping your eye on the ball, using your feet in the correct way. There are not many who play that game with any great distinction.
Gregory coming in from the Hayes close end, and he bowls to Bopara, who drives nicely, but the fielder gets a hand to it now. The throw at the subs of the non-striker's end. Oh, sorry, at the striker's end, and Cook gets there in time, but slow off the mark. Cook, he didn't react initially to Bopara's call. Bopara's about 3/4 of the way down the pitch before Cook started his run, but he got home eventually. Well,
it would have been one of the doziest run-outs imaginable for a man who's been so rarely run out in his career. And Tom Abel is a magnificent fieldsman and quite capable. Stephen Lamb was telling us he's had several run-outs with direct hits in the 2 or 3 years in which he's been captain, and Cook was dozing his way there. He wasn't expecting it at all. I think he got a shout from Bopara. Watch it, mate.
7 to Bopara, 145 for 3 Essex. Somerset back in this game. 110 for 1 at lunch, but a couple of wickets in quick succession has just put the emphasis back on the Somerset side. Cook on strike, he's on 63 as Gregory comes around the wicket to the left-hander, and that's allowed to go through to the wicket-keeper, and there's no run.
To come for Essex, a rather out-of-form skipper, Ryan Ten-Descartes, did get 100 at the Oval, but that was 2 months ago. Hasn't had much joy since. Adam Wheater, returning from 2 months out, and I think he just got 4 in the 1 innings he's had since his return. Essex won their previous game by an innings and 8 runs, so we only saw Wheater once, but he's made good runs in the second 11.
Gregory coming in again, bowls to Cook, who again leaves alone well wide. In fact, that's given us a wide, that one.
And then Simon Harmer, who's no mug with the bat. Essex's secret weapon, Peter Siddle, who we understand is second in the national batting averages at the moment, with an average of 70 odd, and certainly has been very, very effective with the lower order. And then Jamie Porter and Aaron Beard.
145 for 3 as Gregory moves in now round, right arm round to Cook, who leaves alone outside the off stump, and there's no run.
Cook bats with an air of nonchalance. He is the master. He hasn't particularly had his best start to a season for Essex this year, with the exception of the game against Kent when he got 125 and 90. But that was a decent enough delivery from Gregory that would have tempted a lesser man, and Cook watched it, probably missed the off stump by no more than 3 inches.
He was ribbed mercilessly on TMS, was Cook, about his one-day form, as his next delivery is again left alone outside the off stump.
Yes, once you're a knight, people do rib you mercilessly. And of course they know that Cook is a big enough man to take it all. I was delighted to see that he presented the prizes for one of the Royal Ascot races, won by a horse called Advertise, trained by Martin Mead down in the West Country. Good to see Alistair on the racecourse. I know he quite fancies a little bit of the racing game.
Gregory in again to Cook, who off these toes just punches into the offside, but can't beat the man at backward point. And just struggling to get the bowlers away here.
Well, Cook will have, I don't mean this in a vulgar sense, but he won't be short of a bob or two after his magnificent career. Could he become a racehorse owner one day? You do need to be reasonably well off to do it, but I'd love to think that he might have a winner in his own name at Royal Ascot one day.
Gregory in again to Cook, who again leaves alone outside the off stump. That is the end of the over. That's the end of my stint. I'll pass the commentary over to Paul New, and welcome back Stephen Lamb.
Yep, thank you very much. I think we might do the trick with the headset again.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks Paul.
been an interesting session since lunch.
Very.
Batting suddenly got harder.
Yep, and you know what? I think it's an example of how one of the sort of things about batting, if you play a rather loose shot and get out, and batting has looked as easy as it could be, as was the case when Wesley got out, it may have been easy for you, but guys coming in from the cold may not find it so, and the bowling side will invariably raise their game. If they can't, then they're not good enough to play the game, frankly. And Somerset duly have raised their game enormously, and Bopara was almost caught on naught, and we've already seen Dan Lawrence go, and he went to a good delivery.
Yeah, he did. And Lewis Gregory didn't even feel the need to look at the umpire over that.
No, it was plumb, wasn't it, even from here. So Jack Leach, slow left arm round the wicket, river end, bowls to Ravinder Bopara. Plays it back down the pitch. He remains on 7, 146 for 3 in the 48.
Yeah, you mentioned the one that didn't quite carry a slip. The one he got off the mark with was a bit streaky as well, down to...
Very. If there'd been a fourth slip, it would have been a head-high catch. Leach is in again, bowls to Bopara. Oh, and he tries to play this through mid-wicket, taken on the pad, and there's no real appeal there. It was beating leg stump. 146 for 3, and at the end of this over we'll be halfway through the allocated overs for the day. Sultry day, a little bit brighter now than it has been most of the day, and the next delivery, Bopara, who's acknowledged as a good player of spin, steers this one in out into the covers, and Tom Abel, the skipper, there's no run. Here is Leach again, with a slip in the back pad. And Bopara defends out to Abel. Again, there'll be no run. Emails to essex.cricket@bbc.co.uk. Thank you for those. Many of you have already emailed us today. Or on Twitter feed to @lamb165. And am I right in thinking Lamb is spelt with an E on the end?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Dear me, I've been misspelling your name all these years.
Yeah, no, just the straightforward.
Yeah. Well, it's hot enough today for it to be a classic case of roast lamb on a Sunday. As here is Leach in bowls, and I don't think Bopara knew all that much about that. In the end, he leaves it. It doesn't miss the off stump by far. Taken by Stephen Davis. 63 to Cook, 7 to Bopara. And this pair have put on many a good partnership in their time for Essex. And Leach is in again. Bowls to Bopara, who goes on to the back foot, attempts to back cut, misses, taken by Davis. Good over, 146 for 3.
Yes, he's living a slightly charmed life. Class player though he undoubtedly is, Ravi Bopara. He played and missed at that one. And there have been a couple of edges. He's not settled yet. But as Paul mentioned, this is a very, very experienced partnership. Both these two internationals. And I feel that this is a very important stage of the Essex innings.
So here comes Gregory. Bowls to Cook. And Cook deflects this just backward a point, single. 64 to him, 147 for 3. I just realised that the two very important members of the Coventry team were missing after lunch, but they're now back with us, Chaffee and Ted, and 147 for 3. And now, indeed, we get the David Jackman there as well. We've got not one but two scorers in the box today, the two J's, Jacko and Julius. Many thanks to them both, and hopefully both enjoying their day at the cricket. 147 for 3.
Good to see the Bears again, Paul, watching intently.
Yeah, they were a bit annoyed with me for leaving them in their bag after lunch. As here is Gregory in, 3 slits of gully, bowls, and Bopara's lobbed this straight into the hands of mid-on and departs. And, well, a rather bizarre dismissal for such a good player. That was not very good. It was dug in a little bit short, and not totally sure what he was trying to do there, but in the end he played a little bit too soon at it, and it just lobbed up in the air straight into mid-on's hands. One of those you knew would be out from the moment it left his bat. 147 for 4.
He had a long look at the pitch after the catch had been taken, Ravi Bopara. Just wonder whether it stopped on him a little bit.
I think it must have done, but it's another wicket you feel where the batsman has been partly responsible for his downfall. And Bopara, normally such an excellent player, departs disconsolately for 7.
Yeah, an important wicket, always, Ravi Bopara. Never to be underestimated, but it's not his day today. So cue the skipper, Ryan Tenduscarter, another vastly experienced player. He's probably the senior man in the Essex side, Ryan Tenduscarter.
He is 39. I mean, this may be his last season this season. He only signed a 1-year extension, possibly because that was all that was offered to him, I don't know, but I think very much taking it, shall we say, a year at a time at this stage. He's been a fantastic servant to Essex cricket.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was discovered by Graham Gooch on an Essex tour to South Africa back in, I think it was 2002. He's been here ever since. For a long time, it was Tender Who, because
I remember.
Yeah, he appeared at Arundel in 2003, and that in itself was a year after he joined the club, but he was never to be seen again until 2005. Turned up at Lord's, bowled 1 over in a one-day game, which went for 25. Darren Gough was captain at the time, and probably resolved never to play that guy again, never to bowl that guy again. Whereupon he came in and hit 50 off about 18 deliveries, and we thought, what on earth is this fabulous hitter of sixes? As he now faces Gregory, who comes in from the Hayes close end, bowls to him, and this ball's going for 4 runs down to the third man boundary. The ground slopes away there, so anything that gets past the slip cordon is highly likely to go all the way. I was saying to David Brett, hasn't just been in the best of form this season, with the exception of a fine 100 at the Oval. 151 for 4, applause for the 150.
Yeah, and off the mark, off the middle of the bat on that occasion. It was horizontal, but it was where he was aiming, backward of point. Nice way to start for the Essex captain.
Yes, hopefully from an Essex point of view will give him a little bit of confidence, as Gregory's in, bowls to him again, and the leave outside off stump put quite a lot into that delivery. I felt Lewis Gregory there a little bit quicker, I think, than his average delivery, but just able to be left by Tenduscarter.
Yeah, he's picked up the last 2 wickets, Lewis Gregory. So 2 apiece for him and for Jamie Overton. Jamie the first to strike after lunch.
Yeah, Gregory in huge form after that fantastic match at Kent for him, as he comes in now and bowls to Tenduscarter. Comes down a tad late on this and digs it out into the offside. There's no run, and Essex have subsided from at their height, 126 for 1, whereupon Cook and Wesley, or up to where Cook and Wesley had looked in little trouble, but now 151 for 4, and there have been a fair few times where they might have lost a wicket earlier than it actually fell, with Wesley making 36, Lawrence 5 and Bopara 7, all out since lunch. Gregory again, passes umpire David Lloyd, bowls to the Essex skipper, who gets single into the offside, and Tom Abel moves smartly to his left, but no chance of cutting the single off there. The 49th over ends. We're more than halfway through the day now, with Essex lurching to 152 for 4, but still with Alistair Cook at the crease on 64.
Yes, and that's important. Yeah, it was 50 for 1. That was Nick Brown's dismissal when he lost his to Jamie Overton. Then 126 for 2, Tom Wesley miscuing a pull and getting a thin edge through to the keeper. Then 138 for 3, just 12 more added when Dan Lawrence was plumb LBW to Lewis Gregory. And then 147 for 4 with Bopara's miscued pull off Gregory, which fetched up in the hands of Jack Brooks at mid-on.
Yes, Jack wouldn't really find an easier catch than that one in his career to take, as here is Jack Leach from the River End, bowls to Tenduscarter. Made a confident start, actually. He's moving the feet better than some of the case I've seen him get out this season. Tenduscarter plays this to mid-off, no run, Jamie Overton, but confident shot, 152 for 4. Slip and a bat pad. Tenduscarter all defence here, out to Abel in the covers, no run. We've heard from Tony Amos. We were posed the question, who is Aaron Beard, an occasionally seen Essex bowler who's playing in this game, redolent of, and Tony, before we revealed who it was, thought his first instinct was Rodney Hogg, as the next ball is played into the covers. There's no run there. Then I realised it was someone else. Graham Gooch often referred to this bowler as the best he ever faced. Perhaps young Aaron Beard heard these comments and studied some old videos. Yes, it's Dale Steyn is the answer to the question of who Beard reminded our emailer of. And just looking, we've had, I think, one more email from Mark Long. Here is Leach bowling to Ryan Tenderskade. Defends into the offside. Again, there will be no run. Mark Long says, "Hi all, I've heard you guys talking about Essex visiting Worcestershire soon. I'm probably missing something, but aren't Worcestershire in the second division? I'm confused. Why would you be going there?" Answer, because of the World Cup, Edgbaston not available. Warwickshire finding that they didn't have an alternative ground that could handle the need for the facilities for the public and all that sort of thing, as Leach is in and bowls, and Tenderskade drops a dead bat on the last ball of the 50th over, and Essex one time 126 for 1, having chosen to bat, and now 152 for 4. Just finishing your email, Mark. Thanks for the brilliant commentary. I'm in the crowd in Chelmsford. It's good to hear your take on proceedings. And the other point to make, Mark, is that Worcester is currently waterlogged. It's very low lying. There are pictures over the years of the home straight on Worcester Racecourse, just over the other side of New Road, with people canoeing up the home straight. And the winning post totally submerged at the same time. So, if it were Worcestershire, they would switch a game to Kidderminster from Worcester, and it could yet happen that way, although there's also talk, which I would object to, of switching the home and away fixtures the other way about, the two games against Warwickshire. Many of us have already booked our accommodation on the original premise, so that would offend us. I would love to go to Kidderminster again, as much as I like Worcester, because, as I mentioned earlier, the finest lemon meringue pie I've ever had in my life was made by the Worcestershire cricket ladies there and sold at an absolute bargain, 75p.
Fantastic.
The mouth waters. Here's Jack Brooks back into the attack, taking over from Lewis Gregory at the Hayes close end. Cook swats it, but straight to square leg, and there is no run.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for the Worcester faithful if that game does go ahead at New Road.
Yes, yeah.
To have Warwickshire as the hosts rather than Worcestershire.
Yeah, I mean, I think a good few would turn out from that.
Why not?
Yeah, and support Essex, because there's no love lost between neighbouring counties.
Indeed.
They're well known. It's not that they're particularly Essex supporters, but anyone rather than Warwickshire, I think, would be their take on it. Jack Brooks is in and bowls to Cook, and Cook plays this one defensively to Tom Abel in the covers, and I should think Tom Abel has fielded at least a third of all the deliveries that needed fielding today. 152 for 4.
Yeah, he's been a busy man, hasn't he? Jack Leach has fielded a few as well. He's had a few chases down to the boundary edge. Jack Brooks is on his third spell now. He's bowled 7 overs in all for 38.
Here he is again, bowls, and Cook, nearly caught. Very nearly caught and bowled. He went to pull a ball that was short, but I think he was through with the shot a little bit quick, and he's a fortunate man because it just about, that Brooks, was it a catch? He certainly
it was a chance,
yeah,
I think.
Very difficult. You're following through, and even though he was following through in the right direction, you're not really anticipating having the ball hit back at you in this way, and it was fading to ground all the time, and he just about got a hand to it.
It would have been a fantastic catch if he'd made it. He was at full stretch, just the left hand, just trying to grab at the ball before it fell to earth.
Well, was that another case of the ball stopping on Cook there, as it did on Boparo, we think, in the previous over from this end? It's actually bowled by Lewis Gregory. I say this end, it's actually the far end as we look at, as Cook plays the next ball to Azhar Ali at mid-off and is able to take a single. 65 to the former England captain, 153 for 4. And certainly Essex living dangerously here.
Well, yes, I mean, if that had been held, exceptionally sharp chance though it was, then that would have been real trouble for Essex. It would have been 152 for 5.
But even that would have paled into insignificance compared to the plight of Surrey. Playing Warwickshire, who early in the season looked like they were the side that would go down. Only one going down this year. Here's the next delivery. It gets quite a lot of lift there on its way through to Stephen Davis, and Tendescata leaves it alone. Surrey, who were 100 for 3, are now 154 for 7. Leicester has taken 3 wickets, Hannon Dalby 2, and Miles the other 2. Nobody more than Folkes is... Oh yes, Folkes got 30, but Stoneman 33.
So that's a collapse.
And I'll tell you what, extras have been 33 as well. They're joint top scorer. Brooks is in bowls. Ooh, and that one stopped in the crease. But I think there's an inside edge into pad there, hence not out, says David Lloyd.
If there wasn't, he would have been plumb.
Yeah, absolutely. He's right back on his stumps. And Tendescata, I'm afraid, has a very, very distinct tendency to be LBW.
Well, he near as damn it was then. So, well, a sharp chance missed in that over. And then the captain saved, we feel, by his inside edge to the last delivery of it. Unlucky for Jack Brooks. That's the best over he's bowled today.
Yes, it was a good over, you're quite right. Yeah, I'm just looking askance that in a score of 154 for 7 in 47 overs, Warwickshire have conceded 33 in extras. Admittedly, 18 have been in leg byes, which you probably can't do a great deal about. Well, I suppose you could say could bowl straighter as Leach is in and bowls, and Cook plays this ball back to the bowler. There's no run there. And the match played at the Kia Oval in London. And I'm just interested to see that the 2 umpires have both played for Essex. And they are James Middlebrook. It might even be his first game. It probably isn't. You always forget something. But he's been on the reserve list. Cook drives for the next ball, gets a single to mid-off, where Azza Ali fields 154 for 4, Cook on 66. And the other umpire, played only briefly for Essex, was Martin Saggers, who played most of his career with Kent.
Yes, he was officiating at Canterbury, actually, his home ground.
Yeah.
And he was playing a fortnight or so ago when Kent were playing Somerset.
Here is Leach with a slip and a back pad in the offside, a sort of silly point. And Tendescata plays it to the aforesaid silly point, and it's 154 for 4.
Yes, they gave away a plethora of extras, Warwickshire, in the game at Taunton. And they were mainly no balls on that occasion.
Well, they've bowled a few of those today. I think it's 8 wides and 5 no balls, as here is a run to Tendescata, just beats the dive at short extra of Tom Abel, and backed up by Overton in the deep, and the score to 155 for 4. Tendescata moves on to 6, Cook back into strike, 66 not out of 150 deliveries. The light just getting a little bit darker, if that's not what probably is a contradiction in terms, as Leach is in over the wicket to the left-hander, and Cook has flicked it into the onside, just be a single, takes the score to 156 for 4, and Tim Grunewald does the fielding.
Perfect throw.
Yeah, he's very good, and 67 to Cook.
That's what the keeper loves. Right over the bails.
Cook now has just over 2/3 of a century, as Jack Leach switching to round the wicket to the right-hander, bowls to Tendescata. Tendescata pushes at the ball, plays it out to Abel in the covers. Was all along the ground, but he pushed it a little bit jerkily. Sort of thing could have gone up in the air a bit. End of the over. 52 have been bowled, 156 for 4.
Yes, he just checked the drive, didn't he, at the last minute? It didn't quite go through with it. Just pushed the ball out.